Born earlier than expected? Luffy looked at the three giants in surprise, and asked in thought. What do you mean? 800 years ago, you all foresaw such a day. Who's foretelling? Queen Lily? Joy Boy? The mermaid princess of the previous generation? The three super giants communicated with each other, and it took a while for a voice to sound in their hearts. Neither. Neither? Luffy suddenly thought of Mrs. Shirley. The mermaid has the power of prediction, and it is 100% accurate. The future she sees will definitely happen. At least that's how it was before. Since there is a Mrs. Shirley in this era, maybe there was a mermaid with similar power in the blank 100 years 800 years ago. Even stronger. Can predict the future 800 years later. Don't worry, Sun King, when you arrive at the final place, all doubts will be solved. Luffy thought for a while, and asked again. You have lived from more than 800 years ago to the present? Yes, we have a long life. Who named the three ancient weapons? Lily. The answer I got was a little surprising. Luffy thought it was Joey Boy. Joey Boy, Neferutali D. Lily, I am. What is the relationship between these people? Forget it. Put these aside for now. I called you over to ask for your help. Can you get the Fishmen Island to the sea? Among the three giants, the one with a beak and a long neck replied. We can help you tow Noah to the sea. That's the original agreement. Noah can only transport people, and there are 5 million people living in the Fishmen Island today, and it is true that Noah can transport them away in one breath. But the question is, when people go up, what about the island? Can't we have to find another inhabitable island? Where is the Fishmen Island? You need to send people away first, and then transport the island. Towing an island is a very dangerous process. Hearing this, Luffy fell into deep thought. These supergiants are right, but it will take a long time. He didn't plan to stay on the Fishmen Island for too long. Instead of this, it is better to find the Golden Lion directly, get his lion fruit, and use the power of the lion fruit to send the Fishmen Island away in person. Of course, it is not necessary to put all eggs in the same basket. Prepare both ways at the same time. After all, the Golden Lion doesn't know where to hide at the moment. I see, then please move Noah to Sea Forest first. A piece of cake. The next day, when the roots of Yangshu Eve projected the sunlight on the ground to 10,000 meters under the sea again, the Fishmen Island ushered in daytime. Luffy found Neptune and briefly described what happened last night. In short, Noah has been taken to Sea Forest by the Sea Kings. Does the Fishmen Island have a direct bus to Sea Forest? Whether you want to send people up or not is up to you, the king, to judge. Has Shirahoshi's power really awakened? Neptune was taken aback. That's right, she has completely mastered this power zone. This is Shirahoshi's innate ability. He used it unconsciously when he was 6 years old. He just lacked an opportunity before. Last night, Perona's negative ghost gave Shirahoshi a real grasp on how to use his powers. Hearing this, Neptune didn't know whether he should be happy or a headache. If this matter is known to the world, whether it is the world government, marine, or pirates, they will all be eyeing Shirahoshi. I really don't know if I should be happy or not. Luffy smiled and said, Don't worry, I will take her away when the agreement is fulfilled. Upon hearing this, Upton glared at him angrily. I don't know the specific content of the agreement between Joey Boy and the Mermaid Princess, but it is our family's long-cherished wish to let the citizens of the Fishmen Island live freely in the sun, and we have been waiting for the agreement for this reason. The day will come. After a pause, he nodded in a deep voice. Your Excellency Luffy, no matter what, I am very grateful for what you have done. You are the hero of the Fishmen Island. Whether Luffy was Joey Boy, he wasn't sure. He didn't know the specific content of the original agreement at all, and it was just passed down from generation to generation among the royal family. However, things have come to this point, and Noah has been transported to Sea Forest. As the king of the Fishmen Island, he will not back down here. I will inform all the people, so it will take some time to prepare. He made up his mind. How long? Maybe it will take a month, or even longer. Neptune thought for a moment and gave a vague answer. Luffy can probably guess the specific preparations that need to be made. After all, it is a major event of family relocation, and ideological work must be done. Then prepare yourself first. When I come to the Fishmen Island again, you will be able to live freely in the sun. At this time, Jinbei, Moria, and Bartolomeo walked in. He reported to Luffy about last night's mission. The new Murloc pirates have been annihilated, including the captain, Hody Jones, and all of them have been arrested. Hearing this, Luffy nodded and said, Neptune, you may be required to cooperate in a play. Acting? Luffy smiled, and told Bartolomeo. The minibus will bring that captain over, and let come with him by the way. Yes, Lord Luffy. Soon, a very strong murloc was escorted into the hall. Hadi Jones was bound by iron chains and came before the crowd. He was kicked by Bartolomeo and fell to his knees with a plop. He stared at the king fiercely. Neptune, I got you caught. Luffy walked up to the other party, took a few glances, and said with a chuckle, Arlong's admirer, extreme murloc supremacy? Straw Hat Luffy. Hadi Jones gritted his teeth. 8 years ago, you killed Otahime? Hearing this suddenly, Hadi Jones' complexion changed, and he didn't know why he was exposed. Neptune's eyes widened, and he said in a deep voice, Is it you? The assassin is you? HMPH. Otahime was trying to beg for mercy from human beings, but I bought the human pirates and shot her with my own hands while she was giving a speech. Hadi Jones sneered, You are too weak, Neptune, Otahime, and you Jinbei, all surrender to humans, but I won't, I. Boom. Bartolomeo kicked him down and interrupted his speech. Master Luffy asked you something, you just answer honestly. Who made you talk so much nonsense? Damn humans. Hadi Jones hit his head on the ground, bleeding from his forehead. He raised his head slowly, staring at Luffy with killing intent. This is the man who stopped Arlong in the East Blue, and now, on the Fishman Island, who stopped him before he could unleash his vengeance. You know Van der Daken, right? That guy has been harassing Shirahoshi. Luffy said, Give me his contact information. Van der Daken X? Hadi Jones looked ugly. Until now, he finally realized that something was wrong. The damned human target wasn't him, it was Van der Daken, and he just suffered the ripples. Do you think I'll tell you? A mere inferior human being. Little Bus, let him speak. Luffy was too lazy to talk nonsense, so he ordered directly. Leave it to me, Heavenly Luffy. As a former gangster boss, Bartolomeo is professional in making people talk. So, he grabbed Hadi Jones and beat him violently. The ground was covered with blood, and when he had only one breath left, he finally got the contact information. Luffy nodded in satisfaction, turned to Neptune and said, Next, please play a play together, Xiao Feng, use your power. The other side. Somewhere in the deep sea, there is an extremely dilapidated pirate ship that looks like a ghost in the deep sea. Van der Daken X suddenly received a contact. He was obviously a murloc, but because he ate the target fruit and turned into a landlubber, he had to use bubbles to cover his upper body. Ha ha ha, Huo-D. You guys contacted me, what's the matter? A good thing. Due to some accidents, I have captured Dragon Palace. Neptune is already a prisoner of our new murloc pirates. Hadi's voice came from the phone bug. Van der Daken X was stunned. You captured Dragon Palace? What nonsense are you talking about? Hey, don't you believe me? I'm preparing for the public execution of Neptune, and I invite you to watch the ceremony. If you have a video phone bug around you, you can see a wonderful picture. Hearing this, Van der Daken immediately walked into the captain's room and activated a video phone bug on the table. From the phone worm's eyes, 2 rays of light projected and hit the wall to form a picture. In the picture, it is the King's Hall of Dragon Palace City. Neptune was tightly bound by iron chains, and beside the king, there were many soldiers including the left minister and the right minister. Suddenly, Hadi Jones appeared on the screen. Van der Daken X was shocked and really captured the Dragon Palace? Even Neptune was captured. He immediately said, Wait, Shirahoshi? Where's my Shirahoshi? You must not touch her, she's mine. In the picture, Hadi Jones held a phone bug, narrowed his eyes slightly, and said, Speaking of which, you are still Princess Shirahoshi's suitor. It's a pity that this mermaid princess is also the target of execution. I'm sorry, Van der Daken, unless you are willing to join me, otherwise, your mermaid princess will also follow her father into the bones of the bottom of the sea. Stop. You bastard, if you touch Shirahoshi, I won't spare you. If you care so much, come to me and ask me personally. Wait. I'll be right over. Until then, you must not do anything to Shirahoshi. The anxious Van der Daken X immediately took off his gloves, he went to the deck, and grabbed the already broken mast and pulled it hard. With a click, the mast was broken by him, and then suddenly threw it out. It was like a living thing. After being thrown out, it quickly changed direction and flew towards the Fishman Island Dragon Palace City. At the same time, Vanderdaken Ix leapt onto the mast, and just rode on the mast and hurried on his way. Wait for me, Shirahoshi. I will definitely protect you. After I rescue you, marry me, he. Paramecia target fruit. As long as the opponent is targeted, the objects thrown by the ability user will be automatically tracked to the ends of the earth unless they are shot down or blocked by obstacles on the way. The condition for the ability to activate is that the target must be touched with the hand. 8 years ago, after seeing Shirahoshi summon the Sea Kings, Vanderdaken Ix realized that it was a force capable of destroying the world. For this reason, he has not washed his hands every day for 8 years. Now, the long persistence has finally ushered in the dawn of victory. Shirahoshi, here I come. He became excited, and even secretly praised Hody Jones' bravery in his heart. Galloping all the way, when he entered the Dragon Palace City, he did not see any soldiers. The target of the mastlock was Shirahoshi, who expected to fly towards the Crust Tower, but instead broke into the King's Hall directly. Boom. Vanderdaken Ix jumped off the mast and saw Hody and the others when he looked up. Everything is consistent with what you see on the live screen. However, the only strange thing was that there were still 2 people standing beside Hody. One wears a straw hat and the other has green hair and a bull nose ring. Vanderdaken Ix's heart skipped a beat, feeling that something was wrong. Shirahoshi, where is the White Phoenix? He hurriedly scanned the audience, and finally saw Princess Shirahoshi behind King Neptune. At this moment, Shirahoshi was staring at him in fear. Neptune's face was livid. It's you, the bastard who has been harassing Shirahoshi all this time. Neptune's hands bound behind his back by iron chains suddenly released the chains. He stood up abruptly, picked up his own trident from the side, and swung it violently at Vanderdaken Ix. Go. Before becoming king, Neptune had the title of Great Knight of the Sea, and he also had a considerable degree of combat power. Vanderdaken Ix, who was confused by the sudden situation, was completely dumbfounded. Puff. At the moment of crisis, he finally reacted and instinctively dodged to one side. But he was still stabbed in the abdomen by the sharp trident. He rolled around, covered his wound, and looked at Hody Jones in disbelief. What the hell does that mean? There's no way Hody Jones teamed up with Neptune to trick him. However, when he looked over, Hody Jones' appearance suddenly changed. Turned into a dead she-male. My family is Hody Jones, Mr. 2 Bentham said triumphantly. Those who can. Vanderdaken clenched his fists, extremely angry. Only then did he realize that the person next to Hody Jones is the big pirate Straw Hat Luffy? Damn it. He cursed angrily, turned around and wanted to run. However, a figure flashed at the gate, and Luffy had already stopped him. He stretched out his hand to grab Vanderdaken's neck and lifted him up. In order to catch you, I wasted a lot of effort, feel honored, there are so many people acting with you. Click. The spine was directly crushed. Vanderdaken's eyes were wide open, and when the corners of his mouth overflowed with blood, his consciousness had already lost consciousness. Target fruit. Luffy mused. There is a blank fruit in the warehouse, do you want to intercept it? Use the real power of the target fruit to launch the Fishman Island into the sea like a bullet. But if you think about it seriously, target fruit may not be able to do this kind of thing. Every fruit has a limit, no matter how it is developed, it also has an upper limit. Just like lion fruit, when it is developed to an advanced stage, it can float more than a dozen islands, but it is obviously impossible to float the entire red line. So, give up. Throw the body aside. The matter of the Fishmen Island is over for now, Neptune, we will leave today. Neptune took a few steps forward, glanced at Vanderdaken's body, and let out a long breath. Thank you very much, Lord Luffy. Without you, it would be very difficult to catch this thief. Lord Luffy, are you leaving? Shirahoshi ran over, his face full of regret, tears rolling. The villain who harassed her is dead, and she no longer needs to hide in the hard-shell tower, and can walk freely. At this time, Master Luffy, who helped her, wants to leave. We'll be back, Shirahoshi. Luffy smiled and said, I have a ship called Mary, which is a pirate ship with a ship spirit. It has the power of automatic navigation. As long as it arrives at a place, it will instantly. You can return. You can come back anytime you want. Really? Real? After replying with a smile, Luffy looked at Jinbei again. Do you want to come together? Jinbei. Hearing this, Jinbei sat down on the ground, lowered his head slightly, and said in a deep voice. Luffy. I have seen what you did to the Fishmen Island, and this island will be protected under your name from now on. Since it is your invitation, of course this old man will not refuse. Paused, looked up. Captain of the Sun Pirates, Murloc Jinbei, please join the Straw Hat Pirates. Luffy laughed. Haha, I agree, Jinbei, you will be the captain of the 5th team. You invited the new crew member Jinbei, reward 600 adventure coins. Seaman, Jinbei, one of the original 7 warlords of the sea, with a bounty of 250 million Baileys. The current captain of the Sun Pirates and the captain of the 9th Division of the Straw Hat Typhoon. With Jinbei's joining, many Murlocs of the Sun Pirates were also automatically recognized as new members by the system, and a total of 1,000 adventure coins were provided. Adventure coin. 19,245. Hey, are you leaving? You've only been here for a day, and you're leaving this piece of paradise. If you want to stay, Luffy will definitely agree with you to leave the group. Don't say stupid things, women will only affect my pursuit of dreams. The Straw Hats went to the docking point of the ship, and when they heard Sanji's speech, everyone was shocked. Impossible. Sanji would say such a thing. Who are you? You can't be Sanji. I can't accept this kind of thing. Don't give me that horny Sanji. Dream. It must be a dream, Usopp and others yelled, with an unacceptable expression. In the queue of women behind her, Vivi covered her mouth lightly. Now Sanji, like a satisfied Mr. Luffy, is in sage mode. This morning, a mermaid maid brought him meals and even fed him with her own hands, probably because of this. Zoro, who lives in the same room, unceremoniously took off Sanji's underwear. Vivi was at a loss all of a sudden. Yuan, is that so? Sorry, I misunderstood you, Mr. Sanji. Men are really stupid creatures. Nuoqigao thought amusedly. A group of people frolickingly came to the docking point and saw the brand new Merrylair. Are you back? Are you leaving? Frankie greeted everyone. Luffy said to leave immediately. Let's get ready. Nami said something, raised the record pointer on his wrist, with doubts on his face. However, the record pointer has been unstable. What's going on? The pointer has been shaking and irregular. At this time, Neptune and others who came to see them off, and a mermaid under them stepped forward a few steps. Miss Nami, you are a navigator, this is for you. The person who spoke, leaning on a cane with horns and wearing a purple robe, was a catfish mermaid. Dragon Palace Kingdom, Minister left. He handed over a new record pointer to Nalair. What is this? Nami asked in surprise. This is the record pointer used by New World. Neptune explained with a smile. In the past, there was only one needle used in the Sea of Paradise, so it was impossible to navigate in the New World. This one has 3 pointers. Why? It only takes half a day to fully store the magnetic power on this island. Your original one is still shaking irregularly, isn't it? Minister Zuo briefly explained how to use the new record pointer. In the sea area in the second half of the Grand Line, on some islands, not only the sea current and climate will suddenly change, but even the magnetic field will suddenly disappear. In this case, you have to rely on the other 2 pointers to identify the course. The 3 pointers point to different magnetic fields of the island, that is to say, you can choose one of these 3 routes by feeling. Miss Navigator, you need to find the safest path amidst the slight shaking of the pointer. Your choice will affect the lives of everyone in the group. After hearing this, Nami finally understood. In short, the greater the shaking of the pointer, the higher the frequency, the more unstable the magnetic field of the island it points to, and the more dangerous it is. I see, please leave it to me. I am Poseidon Nami of the Straw Hats. Nami said confidently, turning her head and raised her right fist. It's ready to sail, little ones. Everyone in Neptune smiled and watched the pirates board the ship. At this time, Usopp suddenly asked, by the way, where did the captain go? Where's Luffy? Master Luffy said that he is going to see someone, and he will be back soon. The Fishmen Island, Mermaid Cafe. Luffy sat leisurely on the shell sofa, looking at the mermaid in front of her. Hyori was also eyeing him. Did you come to see me on purpose? Straw Hat Luffy. Facing the man who killed his brother, Hyori's posture was a bit unnatural. Not that there is much affection for Arlong. There is a huge difference between the two in appearance and personality. Just a little scared. Not because of the power Luffy possesses, but because of the prophecy. Her prophecy doesn't work on Luffy at all, never does. As far as Hyori is concerned, Luffy is an outsider, an anomaly unlike anyone else. We are leaving soon. Next time we come to this island, we will send you to land. Luffy picked up Shiarli's coffee, took a sip slowly, and said, before I leave, I came here to see you, just to ask you a question. I don't care about Arlong's thing, and you don't have to apologize, it's all his own choice. Shiarli shook her head, holding the pipe but not smoking. After a pause, he continued. Besides, he was a notorious bully in the first place, and it was expected that he would end up like this. Who is going to apologize? Luffy was speechless. Arlong died well. How could he come here to apologize to his sister? He did nothing wrong. Of course, you can't say this, it's easy to embarrass the other party. Shiarli is indeed a little embarrassed now, and from Luffy's subtle expression, she knows that she is wrong. What's your question? Ask now. Quickly change the subject. Help me divination for someone, Luffy said bluntly, pretending not to see the other party's embarrassment. The Golden Lion, Shiki, the great pirate who was once known as the Three Legends with Roger and Whitebeard. A girl your age may not necessarily I've heard of his. I know. How could I not know about this kind of big pirate? Are you looking down on me? Shiarli shot him an annoyed look. Although Golden Lion Shiki was active a long time ago, more than 20 years ago, she is also 27 years old, and of course she heard the name when she was a child. Sorry, you look so young, subconsciously thought you were in your teens. Shiarli had nothing to say immediately, rolled his eyes at him, and took out a crystal ball from under his fishtail. Let me tell you first, my divination is not 100% effective, and I can't predict very small things. For example, if you want to ask me what color the clothes Golden Lion is wearing today, I can't do it. Where is he? Hearing this, Shiarli put down the pipe in his hand, pressed the crystal ball with both hands, and slowly closed his eyes. After a while, opened it. Her expression gradually became frightened, and some sweat stains appeared on her face. More than half a month later, East Blue, destruction. She murmured in disbelief. Golden Lion will bring great disaster to East Blue, the hometown of One Piece. Logue Town turned into a sea of flames. The fragments that appeared in her mind made her delicate body tremble slightly. East Blue. Luffy froze for a moment. 20 years ago, after Golden Lion escaped from prison, he was indeed planning revenge. It's just that this person's revenge plan is a bit weird. He doesn't go to the Holy Land Marie Joys to make a big fuss and kill 1 or 2 five elders. Do not go to naval headquarters to wreak havoc and kill tens of thousands of Marines. Instead, run to the East Blue, stir up chaos, and prove to the world government that you have the power of vengeance. In the theatrical version, blocked by the Straw Hat crew, East Blue would indeed have big problems if they weren't stopped. I see, thanks for the coffee. Luffy stood up, ready to leave. Knowing that the Golden Lion is going to the East Blue is easy. More than half a month. Are you going to stop him? Shiarli asked in surprise. East Blue is the weakest sea. No one or force can stop him. If I don't go, who will I go to? Luffy smiled faintly. Although the main purpose is for lion fruit, but by the way to prevent a disaster, it doesn't affect anything. Shiarli was speechless. Then I heard Luffy ask. Are you really not a prophecy fruit ability user? Natural strength. Shall I go swim in the water and show you? Shiarli said deadpan. She was still thinking about the Golden Lion. What she saw was the destroyed East Blue that turned into a sea of flames. Countless countries were in disaster, the people were crying, and the Golden Lion standing in the sky was laughing wildly. Everything she sees is about to happen. Unless, there is a special alien that can interfere with her prophecy. Look up at Luffy, it's you. Your abilities are amazing. Why don't you come on my boat? Luffy sent an invitation on the spot. This ability to predict the future is too exaggerated. I reject. Shiarli resolutely refused, and said angrily, I don't want to run to be a pirate. Yeah. Luffy laughed, thinking in his heart that the next time he came to the Fishmen Island, he should also abduct her. Goodbye, then. After speaking, the person left. Shiarli watched him disappear at the door, couldn't help muttering, can you stop it? She does not know. She cannot predict Luffy's future. Harbor, the docking point for the Straw Hats. After Luffy came back, everyone was ready to go. Goodbye, Neptune, Shirahoshi, Sharkstar, speaking of which, didn't you see the other two? Luffy stood on the deck of the Sunny, saying goodbye to everyone in the Dragon Camp Kingdom. If I remember correctly, there seem to be 2 older brothers. Lord Luffy, Huang Xing and Xing Xing are busy expelling pirates. Xing Sha replied. because of Whitebeard's death and his words before he died, the pirates who came to the Fishmen Island recently, it is more than 10 times that of previous years. Remember to hang the Straw Hat flags all over the Fishmen Island. I want to see if there is any pirate who doesn't have eyes and dares to make trouble in the future. Luffy smiled and waved to everyone. Suddenly, Shirahoshi took a few steps forward, laying his hands on the side of the sunny ship, approached his face and cried. Lord Luffy, Ri must come back. Understood, I will be back, don't cry next time, be careful to summon Sea Kings out. A promise. Well, I'll remember. After pulling the hook with Shirahoshi, I finally said goodbye to everyone in the Fishmen Island. Fortunately, he is rubber, and most people can't do it if they want to make an agreement with Shirahoshi's hook. Neptune waved on the shore. Bon voyage, Luffy, say hello to Garp for me. Down the Fishmen Island is to rely on Laboon's force area. But when going up, they took the regular passage. At the Immigration Bureau, the mermaids covered several boats with bubble wrap and installed wooden blocks with strong buoyancy. Under the traction of the wooden blocks, several ships headed for New World. Jinbei and his Sun Pirates had been waiting for a long time, and after rendezvous with the Sunny, they were incorporated into the fleet together. Luffy, let me lead the way, in case of encountering a special current, I will be swept away to another place. Jinbei shouted at the crowd, that troubles you. Soon, under the guidance of the local Jinbei, several ships entered the New World without encountering any serious danger along the way. New World, the sea area near the Red King continent. Above the sea, following the ups and downs of the waves, one pirate ship after another floated up one after another. With a bang, the bubbles on the surface of the hull quickly shattered. The deck of the Sunny. Nami looked at the new record pointer. The 3 pointers pointed to 3 different directions, and the central one kept shaking left and right, trembling slightly. Luffy, which island do we go to next? There are 3 options, but the middle one is the most dangerous. The island that the 3 needles point to, Luffy remembers clearly. They are Mysteria, Isle of Thunder, and Liskard. The most dangerous one is of course the Isle of Thunder, which is covered with thunderclouds that have been bombarding the land. Each island represents 10,000 adventure coins. In the future, if he has a chance, he will make a trip, and the adventure coins he picked up for nothing, don't be a fool. As for the original story, the Ice and Fire Island where Straw Hat crew landed. The island has no magnetism, and it is precisely because of this that it was chosen by the government as a secret base for research. Of course, it's not called Ice and Fire Island now, it's called Punk Hazard. It later became half ice and half fire because of the 10-day and 10-night battle between Aokiji and Akainu. Speaking of which, Sengoku should be retiring soon, and these two will fight sooner or later. Marine supports Aokiji more, but world government approves of Aokiji. For the position of marshal, the two must have a battle. Thinking of this, Luffy took out a permanent pointer from his pocket and handed it to Nami. Go here first. This is? Nami was stunned. Eternal pointer. Elregia? Looking at the text on the outer frame of the pointer, she read it out. Elregia? Vivi blinked. I've heard of it, the world-famous music capital, a very famous island, but it was destroyed in a disaster 10 years ago, when I saw such news. What kind of disaster can destroy an island? Nami was taken aback. A battle between the 4 emperors? It's the red-haired Shanks of the 4 emperors today. Robin glanced at Luffy and said softly, it wasn't the 4 emperors at the time, but for some reason, he led the Red Hair Pirates to destroy the entire island, and then the government offered a reward of hundreds of billions. Hearing this, all the girls on the deck looked at Luffy. Everyone knows the relationship between Luffy and Shanks. Luffy said, there are some reasons, let me explain to you slowly on the way. After a pause, his tone became serious. Different from the Paradise Sea, New World is a sea area ruled by the 4 emperors, and now there are only 3 left. There are so many masters here, and it is almost difficult to move without haki. For this reason, we first find a base, practice for a while. The base needs to meet 2 conditions. First, it will not be known by the government. Elegia is now an island that does not exist on the map. It is marked as the Island of Destruction and is an uninhabited island. Second, the environment on the island is relatively safe. It cannot be like Thunder God Island, where thunder strikes all day and night, making it difficult to sleep. Elegia fits those 2 boxes perfectly. Of course, there is another reason too. He wants to run to see his childhood sweetheart. Anyway, inform all members of the next destination. Elegia. A group of 6 ships from the Straw Hat Fleet sailed in the direction of Elegia. Sunny, activity room. Today it was Nuoqigao's turn to cook, except for her who was busy in the kitchen. Everyone else gathered here, sitting on the sofas on both sides. Nami, Robin, Vivi, Kaya, Perona, spiritual body, and the 3 secret agents. So that's how it is. UTA is so pitiful, he has been alone on the island for 10 years. After listening to Luffy's story, all the girls sympathized with UTA. A little girl who dreams of becoming a singer came to the music capital full of joy. Focusing on her mysterious music score, she was tempted to sing the ancient musical notes, and the ancient devil, Top Magic, the devil of song, reappeared in the world. It destroyed everything, and the entire music capital was turned into ruins, and was finally stopped by the red-haired pirates. In order not to let the young UTA bear the pressure, Shanks chose to take everything and abandoned UTA in Aegea. In a blink of an eye, 10 years have passed. That's the way it is. Luffy was speechless when he saw the tearful expressions of the girls. Empathy is so strong. The one who cried the most was Perona, who was obviously a spirit body, sobbing continuously while holding a tissue, crying and saying, "The red-haired bastard actually left his daughter alone on that island. It's not easy for UTA to survive to this day." Robin held his chin, frowning and said, "Why don't you take your daughter with you?" That's a question for the redhead herself. Luffy was helpless, he was not a redhead, and asked him what was the use. The air was filled with sadness, and Luffy had to pull out a deck of cards. There is still a long journey to Elegia, don't think about this problem, let's play some games. After hearing the game, Perona stopped crying immediately and wanted to run immediately. Return. He arrested him on the spot. It's a poker game suitable for everyone, it's not a punishment game, it's just for everyone to adjust their mood. Perona was rather skeptical. Nami was very excited. Gambling? Come on. I will never lose. No gambling. Luffy said speechlessly, do you want to cheat everyone out of their money? Robin smiled sweetly and said, that would be very boring. It makes sense, so let's do it this way, the loser takes off one piece of clothing at a time. Luffy thought for a while, then said with a smirk, this is much more exciting than gambling, anyway, you are all girls, don't be shy. Female. Lu, Fei. Nami rolled up his sleeves, smiling all over his face. Then come on, no cheating is allowed. Cheating is a puppy, and I will wash everyone's clothes for a month. Don't worry, I won't cheat. Let's start. I'll be the banker first, and then I'll take turns clockwise. The person who strips off will be eliminated, and the final winner can become the king. Anyone can make a cabinet. Huh? Seems interesting. Vivi also became interested. Robin laughed and said nothing. Kaya blushed and dared not speak. In the end, everyone silently agreed. After half an hour, Luffy stepped onto the deck in a pair of board shorts and couldn't help scratching. Unscientific. Are these women all gambling saints? Without anyone cheating, he was the fastest out. If it wasn't for Nami and Vivi looking at him pitifully, he would lose even the last pants now. No, you must win back next time. He has lost a lot, being looked down upon by a group of women for nothing. Luffy. Suddenly, Sanji's voice came from another ship not far away. What's wrong with you? Put on more clothes, and be careful of catching a cold. Luffy. The words of losing the gamble really hurt the image of the captain. He looked calm. It's hot, Sanji, this is a realm you can't reach for now. Saying so, he jumped onto the Mary in a single leap, and left the sad land of Nisha. Is it hot? The air temperature is about 20 degrees. Sanji looked up at the sky, really not understanding. Suddenly, he saw a news bird flying in the sky. With a snap, a lump of bird droppings in a newspaper were dropped. Hidden Development seemed to be on fire, and shouted towards Tianshan. Kill you, bastard. Almost pulled on my head. Ha ha ha. Luffy was in a happy mood, bent down to pick up the newspaper on the deck, opened it, and was startled. What's the matter? Usopp ran over, and after a look, he followed suit. Is there any big news? Sanji also leaned over and was also stunned. Later, more people came to join in the fun. All of them stared at the news content in a daze. Marine hero Garp breaks out of Marine. A new force at sea. New Marine is born. Garp and Zephyr's surprising decision. The truth about the Sabaody archipelago. Straw Hat Luffy kills the celestial dragons. The content of the news is too explosive. The matter of killing celestial dragons is nothing because it is a witness. But the fact that Garp left Marine and formed New Marine with the former Admiral Zephyr really surprised Luffy and others. Luffy, your grandpa. Zoro said in shock. The name Garp is already a symbol. Garp is a Marine hero, and a hero is Garp. I didn't expect your grandpa to leave Marine. I was surprised too. After a brief surprise, Luffy recovered. As for why it became like this, he can probably guess. Sunny no Nami joined hands with all the girls to celebrate defeating the big devil Luffy. Really, this guy is getting more and more excessive. He actually thinks of some frightening things in broad daylight. Hehe, Nami, can you win once, can you keep winning? Robin couldn't help laughing. As a woman who has been in the dark world for 20 years, she doesn't care about this kind of thing, and even enjoys it. It's a rare opportunity to bully Luffy. That's right. Nami had a helpless expression on his face. At this time, the sound of burr burr sounded. Luffy's phone bug. Nami took out a phone button from the jacket that Luffy took off with a look of surprise. After hesitating for a while, I still connected him. Luffy, it's me, Grandpa. There was a voice full of air from the opposite side. Grandpa? Grandpa Garp? Nami was startled and suddenly tensed up. That. I'm Nami. Huh? Nami. The other side. The Sea of Paradise, the deck of a small sailboat. Garp froze for a moment. Nami? I know, I've heard your name from Luffy. Luffy is under your care. Nami was elated, and said a little shyly, nothing, it's because Luffy helped me a lot, Mr. Garp, what can you do? Just call me Grandpa, you don't have to be so polite. Garp said carelessly that before the Summit War, he had asked his grandson, and of course he was no stranger to Nami and Vivi, the two granddaughters-in-law who had booked. Yes, Grandpa. Grandpa. Nami called out cautiously, feeling uncontrollably happy. Ha ha ha, Garp laughed, and stopped teasing her. Give the phone bug to Luffy, Grandpa has important business with him. Yes. Nami stood up immediately, walked to the deck but saw Luffy, turned to look at the Mary, and shouted, Luffy, Grandpa's phone number. As she spoke, she threw the phone bug at Luffy. Seeing that Luffy can only wear a pair of board shorts, she is a little bit sorry. What is this idiot doing so honestly? If you say no cheating, you really don't cheat. With Luffy's savvy and knowledge, if they want to cheat, they won't be able to find out. Grandfather. Luffy reached out to take the phone bug, and asked straightforwardly, Grandpa, you will take the initiative to call me, what's the matter? Luffy, are you in New World? Well, I just left the Fishmen Island not long ago. Be careful, the Knights of God are already targeting you. However, they are temporarily busy targeting the Revolutionary Army in Morgas, and there are not many members who will go after you. Garp exhorted. Luffy smiled and said, Don't worry, Grandpa, they can't find me for the time being. Then, what else is there? Luffy, Grandpa, I have already left Marine, and I am going to form a new Marine with Zephyr. Just saw this news. Garp laughed and said, That's easy to say, Luffy, we're going to build some warships in the capital of Seven Waters, do you have a golden ship? Luffy figured it out right away, shit costs money. The cost of warships is quite expensive, and they are completely different from ordinary ships. Luffy, lend me some money, Grandpa wants you to be an admiral. Garp drew a big pie for his grandson on the spot, as if he was starting a business and fooling investors. Huh? Luffy couldn't help laughing. I, a pirate, will be admiral? Will I be admiral of your new marine? Ha ha ha, don't you want to? No, admiral is not worthy of my status, I appoint a gardener. Luffy chuckled and called out to Nami, Nami, how much gold do we have? Garp ran to start a business in his old age, so of course he had to support it. No other meaning, rich, self-willed. Gold. When we were in the capital of Seven Waters, we remodeled the Ark motto, and now we can use more than 1,000 tons of gold. More than 1,000 tons, that is more than 1 trillion Baileys. Grandpa, I'll give you 10 tons of gold. I'll give you more when you finish your job and have a good prospect. Luffy laughed. The other side. Both Garp and Zephyr were dumbfounded. Your grandson is too rich. Zephyr couldn't help but said, you can take out 10 tons of gold casually. 10 billion. He has been in the marine all his life, and he is not as good as someone who throws it out casually. Ha ha ha, as expected of my grandson. Garp smiled triumphantly. Luffy, then send the money over. Grandpa is waiting for you in the capital of Seven Waters. The smelly old man is so arrogant when he takes money. Luffy suddenly remembered something and said, "By the way, after half a month, the Golden Lion is going to launch an attack on East Blue. Grandpa, you go to Logue Town and wait for me. I will go to Logue Town then. If you meet Golden Lion, stop him. He wants to destroy East Blue. Blue." Hearing this news suddenly, Garp's face became a little serious. He didn't doubt the authenticity of the information, and he naturally believed 100% in what Luffy said. "I see, Zephyr and I will rush there as soon as possible. Don't worry, East Blue has us here, there will be no trouble." "Then trouble you, and help me say sorry to Zephyr, I didn't mean to hit him during the summit war." After speaking, the communication was cut off. Garp put down the phone bug and said to Zephyr, "What do you think about the Golden Lion? Whether it's true or not, we must go there. We are new Marine, and it is our duty to protect the people. If the Marine cannot protect it, we will protect it." Zephyr said with a serious face, "Logue Town, I don't know if I can make it in half a month. Garp, don't go to the capital of Seven Waters, let's go." Two veterans in their 70s, and a group of ex-Marines who left together, set off towards East Blue full of energy. Ain sighed, and said to Tashigi beside him, "You really know how to mess around, teacher. Do they really want to let the pirate be the marshal? It's just a joke." Tashigi pushed his glasses, and his tone was not very confident. "It should be a joke among family members. In Garp. Mr. Garp shouldn't be so nonsense." The two female sailors looked at each other and fell silent. Time flies, and a week later. New World, Isle of Destruction, Elegia. The islands have beautiful mountains and clear waters and beautiful scenery. As the once world-famous music capital, it used to be very prosperous. In the southeast of the main island, there is another small outlying island. The island used to be a huge concert hall, but now it looks very dilapidated. In the port towns of this island, collapsed buildings can be seen everywhere. Even after 10 years, the ruins here still tell the tragedy of that year. Hundreds of thousands of people died overnight. After the huge town, there is a highland. Through the Z-shaped mountain road, you can reach the former king's castle. The castle also looks a bit dilapidated, but because it is inhabited, it has been cleaned and repaired over the years, making it look much better than the buildings in the town. At this time, the music room of the castle. The sound of the piano echoed in the empty room. The birds outside the window seemed to be attracted by these sounds of nature, stopped on the branches outside, and flapped their wings along with the music. The new era is the future. Everything in the world, change everything. The singing is interrupted. The girl sitting in front of the piano puffed up her cheeks and sighed. "I always feel something is wrong, so boring. Luffy, almighty Luffy, give me some more inspiration." Look up at the newspaper on the wall. Or before Luffy became Shichibukai content. After that, no more stray newsbirds came here. There are a few video phone bugs in her hand, and she also tried to spread her singing to the world, but as of today, no one has received those thoughts. "Hey, so boring." Uda stared blankly at Luffy in the newspaper. "Counting the time, I haven't seen him for 10 years, and I don't know what happened to him after the top battle. Will you come to New World? Will he get lost on this island like the lost newsbird?" Suddenly, hurried footsteps sounded. The door to the music room was pushed open with a bang. Uda looked up in surprise. Gordon. Gordon was sweating profusely and said out of breath, "Uta, hide quickly. There is a fleet, a pirate fleet is coming towards this island. Somebody is coming." Not only was Uta not afraid, but even his hair in 2 rabbit ears, one red and one white, stood on end. 6 pirate ships. They all hang the same flag. Yes, that is the straw hat wearing pirate on your wall. Gordon saw on the wall behind the piano that the straw hat Luffy had become Shichibukai's news, and immediately identified it. At this moment, Uda's pupils dilated, and his body trembled slightly. Are there really gods in this world? If the gods hadn't heard her voice, such an incredible thing would never have happened. Uta? Gordon watched blankly as the girl rushed out of the music classroom like a gust of wind. At the same time, Straw Hat Crew's fleet. Luffy stood on the deck and said with a smile, "It's finally here. You have sailed in New World for 7 days, and you will be rewarded with 7,000 adventure coins. You have arrived at the new island Elegia, and you will be rewarded with 10,000 adventure coins." Uda is like a happy bird, running like the wind from the castle to the port. The 6 pirate ships docked at the port can be seen from a long distance. The Straw Hat pirate flag fluttered in the wind. "Luffy!" Uda shouted loudly. When he ran to the port out of breath, he saw his childhood playmate. Uda. Luffy grinned and offered to open his arms. The two came into a warm hug. Ha 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 ha, it's been 10 years since I've seen you, and you've become better than me. Uda is full of joy. She can only reach Luffy's chest. Thinking back when she was a child, Luffy was a little shorter than her. Sure enough, when boys grow up, they will be different immediately. Stared at Luffy for a while. A wine-red shirt, a black suit, a handsome cape, and a straw hat, he has turned into an outstanding man. Just like Shanks. While she was looking at Luffy, Luffy was looking at her too. It is not much different from the UTA in the impression. Uda in the theatrical version was 21 years old, and now he is 19 years old. She was wearing a sleeveless white dress and a pair of trendy pink and white short boots. Of course, even such a dress could not conceal her outstanding figure. In the hug, Luffy felt her audacity. Uda, long time no see. Haven't seen you for a long time. Uda excitedly hugged Luffy again, afraid that the other party would be healed in the next second. I was thinking just now, will you come to this island, but I didn't expect you to come. I just happen to have an eternal pointer of Elegia, and I will come to you as soon as I arrive in New World. How do you know I'm here? Uda got out of his arms, looked up at Luffy, his eyes were full of smiles. This problem is very serious. It's better not to have the name Shanks in 420 for the time being. Thinking so, Luffy said without thinking, I came because I wanted to see you. The real answer is not important, it is more important to say something pleasant to the other person's emotions. Sure enough, UTA smiled even more happily. Only then did I notice that there were many people around. Luffy, are all your companions? She waved to everyone. I'm UTA, hello. Such a lively girl. Nami thought in his heart, and also greeted. I am Nami, Air Poseidon. I'm Vivi, UTA, meeting for the first time. My name is Robin. Everyone enthusiastically introduced themselves to UTA. On the way here, everyone knew about her existence and her relationship with Luffy in advance. Childhood sweetheart. A childhood friend I haven't seen in 10 years. 10 years have been living on this almost uninhabited island. Uda carefully remembers everyone's name. Uda. From the rear, Gordon ran over panting. Gordon. Uda immediately introduced to everyone. His name is Gordon, he used to be the king of Elegia, but now there are only 2 of us on the island. Gordon is tall and has a bad guy's face, but is actually a good guy. About 40 or 50 years old. If Shanks is the number 1 adoptive father, this is the number 2 adoptive father. Mr. Gordon, UTA has been under your care all these years. Luffy thanked each other politely. Hi, first time meeting, I'm Gordon. Gordon's voice was soft, neither particularly warm nor cold. While speaking, he was still panting slightly. Unlike UTA, a lively girl, he is an old man, tired from running from the castle to the port. Uda said with a smile. Luffy and Luffy's companions, go back to the castle first, I want to listen to your adventure stories along the way. Soon after, the castle. Sanji and Gordon run to the kitchen to prepare the banquet. The others stayed in the banquet hall, and under Uda's questioning, everyone talked about the adventure stories from East Blue all the way. On Alvida's ship, meet Nami. In Shield's town, recruit Zoro, the 3-sword swordsman. In Orangeville, defeat Buggy the Clown. In Sarab village, rescued Miss Kaya who was coveted by insidious pirates. On the way at sea, Johnny and Joseph were saved. In Kokoja village, bombard the fish pirates. Found Chef Sanji at sea restaurant. I met the little fanboy Bartolomeo in Logue Town. On the first day of entering the Grand Line, 2 fruits were stolen by Vivi. Uda's eyes lit up and his face was full of longing after hearing the adventures one after another. I'm so envious, Luffy. I also want to take an adventure together. Then come with me and get on my boat, great. Uda raised his hands happily and agreed without thinking. After that, he quickly stood up and bowed to everyone. I'm a newcomer UTA, a musician, please give me your advice. Everyone welcomed the lively and lovely UTA. Brooke said, yo ho 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 ho, UTA, I'm also a musician. Today is a rare day for you and Luffy to meet again, so let's sing a song together. Singing? Yes. I like singing the most, unanimously, the 2 looked at Luffy at the same time. Luffy suggested. Everyone can sing the Song of Pirates. Usopp's first response. I come first, as long as you are a pirate, no one can know this song. Yo ho 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 ho, Yo ho 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 ho. Yo ho 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 ho. Yo ho 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 ho. After the simple humming at the beginning, everyone started to sing one sentence at a time, and it became a chorus when it came to the mocking part. The joyful singing filled the banquet hall with a happy atmosphere. For reunion, Tien Cup, cheers, delicious food and wine were brought to the table continuously. A banquet lasted into the evening, and men and women drank a large amount. Luffy was quite sober. Pick up the drunk UTA and ask Gordon. Where is her room? Let me show you the way. Led by Gordon, Luffy went to the top of the castle and sent UTA back to her own room. When he wanted to get out and leave, he was always held tightly. After finally breaking free, Luffy covered her with a quilt and left the room safely. Lord Luffy. Gordon waited outside. Although he is an adoptive father, he has never entered Uta's room since UTA was 10 years old. Uta also takes care of himself more on weekdays. Cook, clean, everything Grandmaster. It is not so much that he takes care of UTA as it is that UTA takes care of him. He is also only in music, as Uta's teacher. What do you want to ask, Mr. Gordon? Since you know UTA is on this island, you should have met Shanks. Gordon is obviously not as easy to fool as UTA. In other words, UTA is not easy to fool, but just doesn't care. She was very, very happy to see Luffy. I met him, and Shanks gave me the perpetual pointer. Is it? About the events of that year, I know. Luffy knew what Gordon wanted to say without the other party opening his mouth. I won't tell her for now. Gordon breathed a sigh of relief. Sorry, if the truth is known to UTA, she doesn't know what she will do. What else can I do after a period of depression? It will recover. Luffy shook his head. He was going to find a suitable time to tell UTA, but let it go now. Lord Luffy, let me prepare rooms for your companions. Sorry to bother you. Watching Gordon leave, Luffy came to the window in the corridor, blowing the night breeze, and looked up at the moon above her head. This is New World. An island is 10,000 adventure coins. If you want to get a large amount of adventure coins as quickly as possible, there is a very good place to go. The sea area ruled by Big Mom is called Toto Land. In that sea area, with Cake Island as the main body, there are 34 islands scattered around it. I don't know if it is calculated as a whole or separately. Let's go and have a look tomorrow. The next day. Because I drank too much last night, everyone woke up very late, and only woke up one after another around noon. Uta was still excited, and found Luffy immediately after waking up. Luffy, when are we going to go on an adventure? Her bright eyes seemed to be talking. Take me on an adventure. Take me on an adventure. Wait a minute. Luffy thought about it. Why not take UTA out together? This girl has been on the island for 10 years. If she doesn't take her with her, she will definitely be angry with him. When will it be? Well, let's call everyone together first. I see, I'll be right away. Uta excitedly went to knock on the door. Not long after. Castle, living room. Everyone from the Straw Hat crew, including UTA, Gordon, CP9, and the prisoner Katakuri are there. Luffy, what's the matter? Nami asked with a sigh. Luffy handed her 5 hearts, the 5 of them will be given to you. Then, he turned to look at Chopper and asked about the hockey fruit. I gave Chopper a hockey fruit before, and asked him to extract the active ingredients in the fruit, hoping to make something similar to body-strengthening water. To this, Chopper shook his head, and the answer he gave was not ideal. The active ingredient cannot be extracted from hockey fruit. The moment the integrity of the fruit is destroyed, the fruit will lose its special function and become an ordinary fruit with a good taste. For this, Luffy can only express regret. The system is not so easy to get to. Thinking of this, he said to the crowd, "We will stay on this island for a while. The main purpose is to practice." Practice is divided into 2 stages. The first stage is to exercise and master the 6 styles. The second stage is to master knowledge, color room gas and armament hockey. Lucci, Kaku, Bluno, Khalifa. Luffy looked at the 4 of CP9, and said slowly. The 4 of you are elites who have practiced the 6 forms since childhood. The 4 of you will serve as instructors. When everyone has mastered the 6 forms, your hearts will be returned to you. Men teach men, women teach women. In this regard, the 4 of them had no room to resist and could only obey orders. In fact, even if you get your heart back, you will regain your freedom. It is also impossible for them to continue to work for the world government. After all, they passed false information before, and the world government can't wait to kill them now. It belongs to being forced to go to Langshan. And then you, Katakuri, teach the others hockey. Katakuri frowned and said, Straw Hat Luffy, do you think too highly of your subordinates? Even for people with outstanding qualifications, it will take at least a year. Is the Straw Hat crew planning to stay on the island for a year? What about the deal with Mom? You don't need to worry about this. You are only responsible for teaching. Whether you learn or not is their own problem. In fact, Luffy doesn't expect everyone to learn it. Although the crew awakens hockey, he will be rewarded with adventure coins, 3,000 at a time. But honestly, it's too slow. In the sea area of New World, he wants adventure coins, and other methods are faster. Simply use the hockey fruit to directly give some key training subordinates a set of upgrade packages. That requires a lot of adventure coins. For this, he needs to go to Cake Island. In short, let's do this first, Nami. I will take UTA away, and I will leave this place to you for the time being. Hey, where are you going? Nami blinked. Go to Cake Island, we'll be back soon, don't worry. After arranging the training plan of the crew, Luffy left the castle with UTA. With a thought, he instantly entered the form of Nika. Uda suddenly exclaimed. The way you looked during the summit war. Luffy, when did you become a capable person? 10 years ago, not long after you left. Luffy opened his arms and said with a smile, Don't you want to go out for an adventure? Today I will take you to the territory of 4 emperors. Uda giggled and hugged Luffy like a koala. It's inconvenient. Forget it, let's do it like this. Hold on tight, it will be soon. As soon as the voice fell, he was like a white light rising from the ground, and flew into the sky with UTA. Wow, it's flying. It's amazing, Luffy. Uda was excited like a 19-year-old kid. Don't move. Luffy reminded me seriously, if you move around, it will be embarrassing if you stand up. Hey, you are so tall, I have 2 record pointers in my pocket. One is the permanent pointer of Elegia, and the other is the permanent pointer of Cake Island. Please help me point the way. 1.1 Permanent pointer of Cake Island, from Katakuri. Know it. Uda fumbled immediately. Where are you going? You made me pick out my pocket. I didn't let you mess around. I'm digging out my pocket, don't rush. It's the other pocket. But I got it. That's not a pointer. Lost, Luffy conceded. This girl is really harder to deal with than Robin. 4 hours later, the two invaded the Toto land waters of Big Mom. There are 34 small islands centered on Cake Island. When Luffy stepped into the first seat, he was delighted by the prompt given by the system. You have landed on the new island Wheat Island, and you will be rewarded with 10,000 adventure coins. After, you have landed on a new island Flavor Island, and you will be rewarded with 10,000 adventure city workers. You have landed on the new island Candy Island, and you will be rewarded with 10,000 adventure coins. Until the last Cake Island. You have landed on the new island Cake Island, and you will be rewarded with 10,000 adventure coins. Get rich. Get rich overnight. In a short period of time, the venture currency exceeded 300,000 and approached the 400,000 mark. Not only that, your adventure coin has exceeded 100,000, the new function, Custom Refresh, has been unlocked. Custom Refresh. When refreshing the adventure store, you can specify a product that has appeared before. After refreshing the store, the product will definitely appear. Adventure coin. 386,245. Looking at the 6-figure balance, Luffy couldn't help raising a dangerous arc at the corner of his mouth. So cool. Added 350,000 adventure coins in one go. From now on, I really want to buy whatever I want, and the Toto Land Kingdom of Big Mom is indeed a goldmine. When realizing that the reward of the Sea of Paradise is 10 times that of East Blue, and guessing that the reward of New World is 10 times that of the Sea of Paradise, Luffy had already thought of this place. Now I finally got my wish. As expected, the 35 islands are not a whole, and each island provides 10,000 adventure coins separately. In addition to the sudden wealth of adventure coins, the big adventure system also unlocks a new function. Custom Refresh. If you specify a product, it will definitely appear in the next refresh. Why is such a conscientious function released now? The condition is that the adventure currency exceeds 100,000. If there are 1 million, is there any new function? 1 million is still too far away. Luffy opens up his adventure warehouse. Since Conqueror's Haki all reached IV5, he has not eaten Haki fruit again, except for the one given to Chopper, the rest are all saved. Now, there are 11 left. LV5 is not the limit. System, let me see your limit. With custom refresh, Haki fruit is no longer a rare item, you can have as many as you want. At this moment, Luffy wants to break through the limit. With a flash of white light, a Haki fruit appeared in his palm, and he ate it immediately. But the expected upgrade didn't happen. Conqueror's Haki has been improved a little. Before LV5, a fruit can be upgraded by 1 level. But after IV5, Luffy obviously felt the difference. It can still be improved, but the consumption seems to have increased exponentially. There were only 200 fruits, Luffy continued to eat without hesitation. Second, third, fourth. With each bite, his conquerors get a little boost. Until the 10th Haki fruit is eaten. Boom. A burst of Conqueror's Haki broke out uncontrollably, but was soon suppressed by Luffy. It's done. Conqueror's Haki, IV5, IV6 new skills, knowledge kills. Can control one's own breath, so that the opponent cannot use the color of knowledge to foresee the future. 10 pills are needed from 5 to 6, but level 6 doesn't seem to be the limit, I can still eat it. Luffy thought to himself. Before he had time to put it into action, he suddenly found UTA shaking around him. After being impacted by conquerors, UTA felt a burst of intense fatigue, his eyelids became heavy, and his consciousness became lax. Luffy quickly hugged him. Sorry, I couldn't control it just now. Luffy Uta shook his head, supported his forehead, and said in a daze, what were you eating just now? It's all for one person. Even if you are about to faint, you still don't forget to eat. Luffy takes out the last Haki fruit from the adventure warehouse. Want to eat? In a blink of an eye, the fruit ran into Uta's hands. She seemed to have regained some energy suddenly, and proudly opened her mouth and took a bite. Well, it's really delicious, no wonder you ate so delicious just now. Huh? Before finishing a sentence, Uta suddenly widened his eyes. Color of knowledge, wake up. At this moment, she awakened her sense of sight, and her hearing power increased by tens of hundreds of times. There were many footsteps coming from her ears, as if they were rushing towards this side. This is a thing called Haki fruit, eating it can awaken Haki. Luffy explained, such a fruit needs to consume 10 years of my life to condense it. 10 years? Uta's eyes widened, looking down at the Haki fruit she bit into in her hand. She suddenly raised her head and gave him a blank look. Liar. I'm not an idiot, you just ate 10 of them yourself. As he spoke, he happily took another bite, his cheeks twitching like a little hamster. Is it tasty? Delicious. There are more delicious ones, I'll give them to you next time. Real? Uta's eyes lit up. She is a song fruit-capable person, who can lead others into the virtual space, world of songs, through singing. In the theatrical version, 70% of the world's population was even sent in at one point. It is not an exaggeration to say that it is one step away from destroying the world. What will happen if such a fruit is awakened? Luffy is going to give Uta an awakening fruit. Of course, there are Empresses, Vivi, and Nami. Well, a bowl of water is flat. A mere 40,000 adventure coins, girls, our family has a. Just about to experiment with the new functions of the system, suddenly, a group of people hurried here. The leader is a tall, middle-aged warrior with a long beard, holding a huge sword on his shoulder, and there are a large number of soldiers and pirates behind him. The conquerors just now was you, Straw Hat Luffy. Wearing biscuit armor and holding a biscuit shield, the middle-aged soldier said with a blank expression. Dare to break into the territory of our big mom pirates by yourself. Let me praise you for your courage. Who are you? Before Luffy could speak, Uta stepped forward and said, Luffy is not alone. He is one of the 4 Emperor's Big Mom's dessert stars, Charlotte Cracker, with a bounty of 860 million Baileys. As soon as the voice fell, Luffy had disappeared in place. When it reappeared, it was in front of Cracker. Talk to me. Dare to hide in a cookie. He punched the opponent brazenly. Cracker's pupils constrict suddenly. His observation Haki has been locked on the other party, but at this moment, he can't feel anything. There is no sign that the other party will attack, and without any knowledge and prediction, it is impossible to avoid this kind of attack by only relying on a temporary reaction. No, he didn't even have time to react. Boom. Luffy punched through the middle-aged soldier's body, and knocked out the Cracker hidden inside. With a sound of wow, Cracker, who flew upside down, spat out blood, and after landing, he dragged a long trace on the ground like a rag. Suddenly, boom. A fat palm held him down. Cracker covered the injured part. The corner of his mouth was full of blood and he raised his head. Mom, Mom, Mom. Damn it, just a moment ago, my consciousness was almost broken. He was shocked and angry inside. What a monster to rival your mother. Knowledge killing. He said immediately. That was definitely knowledge killing just now. Really? The same move as the redhead. Charlotte Linlin didn't care about her son, but walked towards Luffy step by step. The aura around her continued to rise, and haki from conquerors spread in all directions without distinction. Seeing this, Luffy unleashes the conquerors as well, blocking all the onslaught. The hedging of the two conquerors suddenly changed the climate on the island, and thick dark clouds shrouded the top of the head. The raging wind blew away the people around, screaming one after another. The evening sky suddenly darkened. Mama, Straw Hat Boy, are you here to make a deal? Charlotte Linlin said with a sneer. No, come over to say hello and remind you to get the rubbings ready. Luffy looked as usual. Hearing this, Charlotte Linlin narrowed her eyes unhappily, and her vision fell behind Luffy. Damn stinky brat, what kind of place is this old lady? Travel? Bring a little girl. There is a limit to looking down on people, brat, Napoleon. Charlotte Linlin raised her right hand and shouted. The next moment, the skull on the hat that was originally worn on her head suddenly opened its eyes. Yes, Mom. While speaking, the hat flew up and turned into a knife. Charlotte Linlin held the handle of the knife with both hands, raised it high and then swung it down. The spear of Elbaf, Qiwuhai. The saber shot out a huge sword energy impact. The pen hits Luffy heavily. Hee, how can this kind of attack hit a target? Luffy laughed lowly, moved his body, immediately hugged Uta, and leapt to the sky. And Qiwuhai's blow, which lost its target, penetrated a distance of several hundred meters, tearing apart the sea outside the island, and the huge waves it set off seemed like a tsunami. It's so fast. Charlotte Linlin looked worried, and raised her head slightly to look at Luffy, who was stepping on white flames in the sky and holding a woman in her arms. The more I look at it, the more unhappy I am. When you brat fought against my old lady, did you still have a hollow woman? As soon as the words fell, she bent her knees slightly, and then, like a missile, she shot up suddenly. The conquerors wrapped around his saber and slashed at Luffy. Uta in his arms hugged Luffy nervously. His complexion was a little pale, but his little hands were tightly grasping, and he didn't let go at all. Don't be afraid, it's just an old woman. Luffy grinned, raised his foot and kicked the opponent's saber. Boom. Before the soles of the leather shoes came into contact with the saber, the two strands of conquerors collided in the air. In an instant, the colliding haki soared into the sky, and the clouds over Cake Island were torn apart by a crack extending tens of thousands of meters. When the Overlord meets each other, his greetings are like a tree hit by Lai Tien. What a strong conquerors. Charlotte Linlin's face was serious, and she understood immediately when they really fought. This kid does have the power to talk to her on an equal footing. So strong. The corners of Luffy's mouth rose slightly. I don't remember when I showed conquerors that can be called so strong. What? Charlotte Linlin's eyes were sharp. Is there a possibility that your conquerors is too weak? IV5's conquerors suddenly upgraded to IV6, boom. Like a thunderbolt from the blue, Luffy suppressed Charlotte Linlin and kicked her from the sky. With a bang, a huge hole was smashed into the ground. Mother. In the distance, Cracker was shocked. Mom lost the conquerors competition? That's awesome, Luffy. Uta, who was protected by Luffy, didn't feel the baptism of the aftermath of the battle. Watching Luffy suppress Big Mom, his little face couldn't help revealing the color of a little girl's amazement. Of course she knows Big Mom, and also knows what Four Emperors is. She grew up on Shank's boat, and it was only 10 years ago that she was really isolated from the world. And 10 years ago, it was the era of the Three Emperors. Whitebeard, Kaido, Big Mom, the three are already famous. Are you good? There are many places where I am good. Luffy smiled slightly, and hugged the girl in his arms even tighter. Between words, Charlotte Linlin, who was smashed into the giant pit below, has climbed up from the embedded ground. There are two things, Straw Hat Kid. She grinned and said, how? Do you want to think about it again? My mother's daughter is no worse than the little girl in your arms. At first glance, Luffy is not the type who is not close to women and only wants to become stronger. She once again gave birth to the heart of marriage. It is indeed very strong, without a doubt, the combat power of the Imperial class, and it is also the top of the Imperial class. Conquerors of this intensity, she's only seen on red-headed shanks. You call all your daughters over, and let me save them for a better look, Luffy joked. If you want to get married, then I will choose a concubine? Who looks down on whom? As soon as he finished speaking, Uta couldn't help pinching his arm. Luffy, when did you become like this? This is a scene. Luffy raised his hand helplessly, and Shock Fruit's power was activated. Boom. With a punch to the side, in an instant, the sky cracked like a mirror. What? Whitebeard's ability. Charlotte Linlin's eyes widened in disbelief. Seaquake. The sea surface outside Cake Island suddenly set off huge waves, hundreds of meters high, as if the tide that was about to destroy the world rushed towards Cake Island. What exactly is going on? Charlotte Linlin gasped, watching this scene in disbelief. Goodbye, Big Mom, come back next time, get your redstone rubbings ready. The seawater will send you to wash your face, and let your daughter look in the mirror, ha 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 ha. With a loud laugh, Luffy hugged Uta and turned into a beam of white light in a blink of an eye, crossing the sky and disappearing into the clouds. Damn brat. Charlotte Linlin's face was extremely ugly, and it was a great shame to be ran to the gate to ride her face. She roared, Prometheus. A group of flames with the soul, shouting mother quickly appeared above her fist. The next moment, Flame's fist hit the giant wave. Fire from heaven. The Pang Great Fireball collided with the tsunami, and in an instant, the steam spread in all directions, forming a thick white mist of steam. However, it didn't take long for Charlotte Linlin to breathe a sigh of relief. On the farther sea, a new round of tsunami came towards her base camp. It was as if this space was vibrating spontaneously. Awakened Shock Fruit, Charlotte Linlin was completely stunned. A person with double fruit abilities already made her feel incredible. But not long after Whitebeard died, this kid got the reborn Shock Fruit, and reached the state of awakening. How can this be? It was already past 11 o'clock in the evening when we returned to Elegia. Luffy landed in front of the castle with Uta in his arms. It's coming back, so fast. Uta jumped down from Luffy's arms, stepped on the ground, looked back at Luffy, and said with a bright smile, "Thank you, Luffy, I am very happy today." Although she only set foot on 35 islands in a hurry, it was already a very exciting adventure for her who hadn't stepped out of Elegia for 10 years. Especially watching the fight between Luffy and Charlotte Linlin made her even more amazed. Next time I will take you to another place, let's rest today. Luffy is a little tired. Hee, thank you for your hard work. Uta stood on tiptoe and kissed Luffy's face. Don't be fooled by that fat woman. She definitely wants to use you and use her own daughter as a bait. It's too much. If it is a normal situation, Luffy must pay her back. It's nothing to tease people. He hates the bad behavior of women running away after kissing them the most. But today is really a bit tired. Let's let her go first. Bye. Go to bed early, Luffy. Like a happy little rabbit, he hopped into the castle. Is your favorability full? Luffy thought happily. If the system had a sign of favorability, Uta's favorability for him is probably full. Even if he hugged her and went to sleep with her on the spot, he would half push and half agree. Let me see first, who is being lazy today? The color of knowledge was released, covering the castle, carefully investigating everyone's situation. Everyone slept soundly, and it seemed that they were very tired during the day. Suddenly, Luffy frowned slightly, but didn't notice Katakuri's breath. What is this guy up to? The first time he suspected that the other party was dishonest, but soon, he found that Zoro's aura was also gone. Continue to expand the scope of exploration, and finally found Zoro and Katakuri on the outlying islands to the southeast of the main island. The two seemed to be practicing so hard? Thinking in surprise, Luffy simply ran to check the situation. Outlying islands. It is separated from the main island by several cylindrical towers, and the towers are connected by long bridges. The island was originally a holy place for concerts, but now it is naturally a mess, destroyed as early as 10 years ago. At this time, among the ruins, under the dark blue night, Zoro's forehead was covered with blood, and half of his eyes were stained red. He wore a turban on his head, held a knife in each hand, and had another in his mouth. The panting sound was very heavy, and the vision was somewhat blurred. In contrast, Katakuri standing in the distance is like a stroll in a garden. It's almost reached the limit, and it's time for you to admit defeat, Roronoa. Ha. Ha. No, I promised Luffy, I won't lose again. What a man said, he will obey even if he dies. Zoro stared at Katakuri again. It's just that in the face of the knowledgeable color who can predict the future, all his attacks will be in vain. It was obvious that he cut the opponent's waist with a single knife, but the opponent would still stand there unscathed. No matter what kind of attack it is, it will not work. Even if the armed color is entangled, the result will not make any difference. At first, Zoro didn't know, and even suspected it was Logia. But as the number of fights increased, he had already fully understood. The opponent pre-reads his attack route, and the moment the blade hits the opponent, the cut part will actively tear apart, just like a soft rice cake. When the blade has passed, the place that was torn will be bonded again. Although it looks complicated, it is all done in an instant. This is seeing the future, one of the abilities of high-level observation haki. It's useless, no matter how many times you come, the result is the same. Katakuri punched Zoro in the face, sending him flying. Looking at this unyielding three-sword swordsman, Katakuri couldn't help but doubt life. Why should I help him practice so seriously? I am clearly a prisoner. Just download it. It should have been like this, but seeing this man's serious expression, he gradually became serious. Three swordsmanship beautiful demon knight sleepless ghost chop. Zoro, who was repulsed, tirelessly attacked again. His haki seems to have undergone a little mutation, and his strong fighting spirit seems to materialize, forming a ghost behind him. What? Katakuri couldn't help but hesitated. The next moment, the knife flashed. Ding. Like lightning, Zoro appeared behind Katakuri. Too bad, almost. Katakuri touched the slashed chest, armament haki quickly dispersed, he turned around slowly, and said lightly. If your armed color was 10 times stronger, you would have hurt me just now. Thump. Zoro dropped to one knee, panting harder and harder. This doesn't work either. This guy is just someone who was instantly killed by Luffy's punch. The gap between me and him is so big, and the gap with Luffy will only be bigger. It's impossible to continue like this. How can you become the world's #1 swordsman like this? Come again. Gritting his teeth and standing up, Zoro, whose face was covered in blood, seemed to be a real Warcraft at this moment. In haki. No, in the haunted situation, his right eye seems to be emitting red light. Katakuri was silent. After playing all night, this man's haki seems to be inexhaustible. To be honest, facing this kind of opponent, he can solve the battle with one punch. Just as Luffy the Straw Hat could beat him with one punch, he can also beat the captain of the first team with one punch. However, this is practice, and he has been trying not to endanger Zoro's life as much as possible. After all, if the opponent is dead, he will also be killed. Sighing lightly, Katakuri raised his right hand and drilled a trident from his palm. Roronoa Zoro. I admit that you are a strong man. The name of this weapon is Earth Dragon. Next, I will fight back with the will to kill you. You are dead. Don't blame me. It's just what I want. If I die here, it means that I am a man of this level. Zoro grinned. The two fought again. Not far away, on a tall stone tablet that collapsed. Luffy sat cross-legged, silently observing the battle between the two sides. He used what he saw and heard to kill all his aura, and even Katakuri couldn't find his existence. Is that ghost aura just now? The mutated haki? Or murderous aura? He had to admit it. Among all the crew members, Zoro is the one who followed him the earliest and also the one who practiced hardest. When others mastered the 6 styles by eating the fruits of the 6 styles, he voluntarily gave up and practiced silently by himself. While others are happily having a banquet, he is still training himself. While others were sleeping, he kept watch at night and practiced during the day. Relying on his own strength, he awakened the color of knowledge and awakened the color of arms. Now, for the final conquerors, when everyone else is resting, he and Katakuri are fighting desperately. No, it is already. Discussion will keep one hand, fighting will not. If you can wake up tonight, I will give you a set of haki upgrade package. Come on, Chlorella. With a chuckle and muttering, Luffy opened the adventure store and began to prepare prizes. Although there is no basis for it, he feels that Zoro can make it tonight. Custom refresh. Haki fruit. Sure enough, a haki fruit appeared in the store, just one. Buy it. The second refresh, still one, continue to buy. The third time, the fourth time, it was still single. Finally, the fifth time the gift box was swiped out, 5 in one breath, and I bought it again. Continue to brush, the 6th time, and a single hockey fruit. 7th time. Gift box. Got it. Spend a total of 7,540 adventure coins and get a total of 15 hockey fruits. Adventure coin. 386,245. 378,705. After getting the prize ready, Luffy looked up again, looking at the two of them in the tea. When the first ray of sunlight shines on the outlying islands in the morning, the two fought fiercely all night, and one side was finally defeated. Slap. The knife in his mouth fell to the ground, and Zoro stood there straight. Blood had already stained his clothes red. Just standing there, the body is trembling uncontrollably. Still down, Katakuri felt deeply shocked, and murmured, "No, I've already lost consciousness. I lost consciousness, and they are all standing. What a monster." Obviously the strength is not very good, but the willpower makes him have to be moved. Very strong. Sooner or later he will become a great swordsman. Taking a deep breath, Kotaku wanted to approve this green algae head from the bottom of his heart. I fought fiercely with him all night, from dark to dawn, suffered countless injuries, and finally lost consciousness while standing. It would be too wasteful to die in this kind of place. I'll call the doctor for you. You can't hear me anyway, forget it. Katakuri put away his earth dragon and turned to go back to the castle to find Chopper. However, when he turned around, his pupils shrank suddenly. The originally extinguished breath, at this moment, seemed to be a rekindled lamp. Impossible. He suddenly turned around. Boom. Standing in a pool of blood with two knives in hand, Zoro's lost consciousness was once again ignited. His right eye glows an eerie red, and a stream of Conqueror's haki emerges from within him. No, that's not just Conquerors, it's different, it's abnormal Conquerors. Yet. Didn't lose. Like a groan from hell, a ghostly growl came out of Zoro's mouth. Katakuri people are stupid. Awakened. How did you wake up? When he was 12 years old, his younger sister Bree was bullied and injured, and he broke out Conquerors because of the violent emotional fluctuations. Awakened to protect something. But this person in front of him is not. It's not because of his emotional fluctuations, it's simply because he doesn't want to lose. Even if he has fallen into the abyss, even if he has lost consciousness, he doesn't want to lose his mind here. What a man. Why would such a man be inferior? Katakuri's mind was shocked, and he looked at Zoro who was holding double blades and refused to fall in disbelief. Gritting his teeth, Katakuri came out of Tianlong again. Backquote, "You don't want to lose, and I didn't lose." Suddenly, a figure intervened between the two. Luffy punched Zoro in the stomach. Zoro let out a muffled snort, and the unconsciously awakened Conquerors collapsed in an instant, and he fell directly into his arms. Straw Hat Luffy. Katakuri was stunned. When did you come? Last night. Luffy carried Zoro on his shoulders, and said flatly, "Thank you for your hard work. If you keep fighting, this guy will really die." Although he knew that he was a tool man, Katakuri was speechless when he said it so directly. But last night, Katakuri's heart sank. He didn't notice anything. If the opponent wanted to sneak attack, he would probably be killed instantly. No, there is no need for a sneak attack, he couldn't beat this person in the first place. Let's go, you go to rest too. As he said that, Luffy entered Nika form, carried Zoro on his shoulders and turned into a flash of white light, flying towards the direction of the castle. Katakuri stood where he was, silently taking back the Earth Dragon. With such powerful subordinates, this man will become the pirate emperor sooner or later. So why? Why would a man like him be subservient to a straw hat? He doesn't understand. Noon, a temporary ward. Lying on the hospital bed, Zoro, who was covered in bandages, frowned slightly, and finally woke up. Open your eyes and see the ceiling, here it is? Wanting to stand up, he grinned in pain on the spot. Stay still, Zoro. Chopper stood on a chair, wringing water out of a towel. What the hell did you do? Why did you have such a serious injury? When Luffy brought you back, I thought you were dead. Chopper? Here is the castle. Zoro's memories gradually surfaced. Looked for that rice cake man to practice all night. He said in a deep voice. Then I found that I had no last memory. At that time, he had already lost consciousness, and after that, he only relied on pure beast instinct to fight. Congratulations, Chlorella, you have awakened Conquerors. Luffy sat on the sofa beside him, crossed his legs, grinned and said. The battle of life and death is really the fastest way to grow, the premise is to survive. Luffy? Zoro wanted to look up, but gave up. I succeeded? I felt it silently. It's just that my body is too weak, let alone conquerors, I can't even use knowledge. I didn't feed you the self-healing fruit. The wound on your body is your glory last night. Luffy got up and walked to the hospital bed, and put 12 hockey fruits on the bedside. This is a reward for you. If you eat them, you will gain the power to challenge Hawkeye. Of course, if you don't want to eat them, I don't mind if you want to practice a little bit on your own. In short, this is your due reward, how to decide is up to you. After speaking, Luffy left the ward. Zoro turned his head slightly, but unfortunately couldn't move. There was a rumbling sound from the stomach. Chopper, ah. He opened his mouth and gave a beckoning look. Do you want to eat all of it? Ah. Ah, what do you mean? Chopper fed 12 fruits into Zoro's mouth. With the sound of chewing, Zoro felt satisfied. I am full. However, the next moment, his pupils shrank suddenly. What's wrong? Zoro, Chopper asked nervously. Suddenly, I seem to have mastered the tyranny? Zoro murmured dumbfounded. Chopper opened his mouth wide. At the same time, Luffy left the ward, turned on the system, and watched the system prompt in the morning. Crew Roronoa Zoro awakens Conqueror's Haki, rewards 10,000 adventure coins. Hey, this adventure is getting more and more expensive. Spend 7,540 adventure coins to buy 15 Haki fruits. However, the reward for Zoro's awakening Conquerors is not 3,000 for knowledge and armed, but 10,000. As a result, he netted 2,460 adventure coins, and the remaining 3 Haki fruits. Oh no, Zoro's skyrocketing battle history has to be counted. After eating 12 fruits, Zoro's Conqueror's Haki can reach 5. Level 5 is enough, and the resource consumption of going up is too high, and he has to rely on himself after that. Luffy left the ward, spread out his palm, and there was a Haki fruit in his palm. I have to find someone to test it. Without Conqueror's qualifications, can ordinary people awaken Conquerors? Who can I turn to? Don't even think about it, it's Nami of course. Released the color of knowledge, looking for Nami's breath, but the girl was still sleeping. Immediately went upstairs, found Nami's room and opened the door. Throwing back her quilt. Get up. Well? Nami opened her eyes sleepily, and when she saw that it was Luffy, she said coquettishly, changed her position and continued to sleep. Let me sleep a little longer. These 3 fruits are for you, eat them. Luffy patted her butt and handed over the Haki fruit in his palm. Nami grabbed the hand that was on his ass and dragged Luffy to the bed. She opened her mouth laughingly. Your head. Stuffing 3 fruits into Nami's mouth, Luffy frowned. You're getting lazy, Nami. Think about it, when we first met, Nami took care of him, cooking for him, doing laundry for him, and now he even has to feed him. Huh. What is this? It's more beautiful than the 6-style fruit. Nami chewed lightly, with surprise on his face. The next moment, she opened her beautiful eyes wide and her drowsiness dissipated. Luffy, I seem to have awakened. Awakened Conquerors? Conquerors? Looking at her expression, little Luffy understood immediately. Knowledge color and armed color are potential powers possessed by all human beings, and they can be mastered as long as they are practiced. Conquerors is different, only the chosen ones can awaken, and if there is no one, there is no one. Haki fruit cannot awaken Conquerors out of thin air. Its effect is more like compressing a person's cultivation process into a short moment. It doesn't matter if you don't have one. It's enough to master the knowledge color and armed color, and cooperate with your thunder fruit. Luffy is going to catch the next game, and Vivi is not waiting for him to feed. Get up quickly. Nami puffed up her cheeks and opened her arms. Hold me up. He's becoming more and more coquettish. Luffy gave her a blank stare, didn't bother to answer, turned and left. Nami giggled, hugged Luffy from behind, and kissed him tenderly on the face. Wait a minute, you haven't taken office yet. Ah? Nami was so angry that he wanted to pinch someone. You still despise me? I insist on kissing you today. The two began to fight on the bed. In a blink of an eye, a week later. During this week, Luffy will visit the store 6 times a day, and when he is lucky, he can buy 10 Haki fruits, and when he is unlucky, he can only buy 6 Haki fruits. In 7 days, a total of 50 pieces were obtained. These Haki fruits, of course, are given priority to the girls I have slept with. Nami, Vivi, and of course Uta, who has a 100% crush. All 3 of them have raised their knowledge color and armed color to level 5, which consumes 26 gems. The remaining 24 cannot satisfy everyone's needs. Give Robin, Nuoqigao, and Kaya 2 each, and consume a total of 6. After that is the male crew, Usopp, Sanji, Chopper, Brook, Frankie, Joseph, Johnny, Bartolomeo, Luo, a total of 18. As for Moria and Jinbei, these 2 ex-Shicibukai don't need to, they'll be bicolored Haki themselves. Of course, in addition to the Haki fruit, he also bought 2 awakenings and 1 ship spirit. Adventure coin. 346,885, Adventure Warehouse. Awakening fruit 2, blank fruit 1, longevity fruit 3, washing fruit 1, self-healing fruit 1, ship spirit fruit 1. As for the 10 height fruits and several 6-style fruits in the original warehouse, they were all eaten by Luffy himself. Today, his height has reached 1.94 meters, surpassing the Empress Boya Hancock. This day, morning. The living room of the castle. Luffy asked Nami to call everyone. Soon, everyone came to the living room. Luffy, what did you call us for? After a week of recuperation, Zoro's injury has already healed. Golden Lion, do you know? This guy has his eyes on East Blue and is going to start a war in East Blue. Luffy said straight to the point. Golden Lion Shiki. The legendary big pirate. Jinbei was taken aback. The man who is as famous as Roger and Whitebeard has not shown his face for 20 years. Moria gave a strange smile. Hehehehe. The last time I saw news about this person was 20 years ago. He escaped from Impel Down. Different from their focus, Usopp and others are all from East Blue, and pay more attention to the latter sentence. Luffy. This big pirate named Golden Lion is going to start a war in East Blue. Nuoqigao's expression changed. Kokoja village will be fine, right? Vivi frowned slightly. Miss Nuoqigao, Miss Nami, and Miss Kaya, are you all from East Blue? And Zoro, Usopp, Johnny, Joseph, Sanji. Chopper added, you too. Sanji shook his head. I was born in North Blue, but I did spend a lot of time in East Blue. Everyone couldn't help frowning. Sanji pondered. Luffy, are you going back to East Blue? Well, can't watch Golden Lion kill East Blue. Luffy nodded, and said bluntly. Next is the captain's order, everyone in the first team, and the minibus, you follow me to East Blue. Yes, Lord Luffy, Bartolomeo responded immediately. He was also from East Blue, and his hometown is Logue Town. Wait, Luffy, we're going too. Nami hurriedly said, I'm a little worried about Kokoja village. Of course I'll take you, Uta, do you want to go? Luffy turned to look at the little diva. Uta nodded his head like a pounding garlic. Last time he walked around the waters of Todo Land, he was finally able to venture out again. That's it, all the members of the Sunny, all the members of the Melee, plus the minibus and Uta, you go to the port to prepare first. Luffy made the final decision and said with a smile. As for the others, stay here for the time being and continue to practice. Soon, those who were preparing to set sail began to take action one after another. Those who stayed here also left the living room one after another to continue their daily practice. In the living room, only Luo and Luffy were left. You left me on purpose, is there any important explanation? This is for you. Luffy took out an awakening fruit and threw it to Luo. Eat it, and your devil fruit will awaken. Awakening? Luo looked dull, he had heard about devil fruits awakening. But eating a fruit can wake up, I have never heard of it. This is a very precious thing, and I only have one. Luffy opened his eyes and said nonsense, and said without a trace of blushing, for the time being, I will entrust you with the affairs of this island, and the hearts of those in Katakuri will also be entrusted to you. I understand, please rest assured. Luo nodded solemnly. After that, Luffy explained some things. After doing all this, he left the castle. When they arrived at the port, everyone was ready to sail at any time. Luffy took out another ship spirit fruit and put it on the figurehead of the knee. Then, everyone saw a scene of surprise. Grains of golden light spots converged, and a cute little lion boat spirit suddenly appeared. It has a different image from the Mary, and has a more cheerful personality. Greet everyone cordially as soon as they come on stage. So cute, Robin blushed slightly. Ha ha ha, Sunny, please take us to Logue Town. Luffy laughed and rubbed Sunny's head. Sunny. Sunny felt kind, and immediately turned into golden light particles and merged into the hull. Immediately afterwards, the Sunny automatically lowered its sails and sailed away from the port. Little ones, let's go, the goal is Log Town. In Luffy's loud voice, Sunny and Melly seemed to escape into the tunnel of time and space, and disappeared on the sea in the blink of an eye. East Blue, surrounded by the sea. More than a dozen islands are suspended in the sky. Islands vary in size and climate. The highest island is also the largest floating sky island. Its name is Vermeyu, which means miracle. There is a huge snow mountain on this island. At the foot of the snow mountain is a palace that covers a very large area. Palace. At this time, the banquet hall of the royal palace. 50 men with different faces lined up on both sides, sitting cross-legged, each with a glass of sake in front of them. They are pirates from all over the world, including North Blue, West Blue, South Blue, Paradise Sea, and even New World, but there is no East Blue. And the man sitting on the throne is the Golden Lion Shiki, one of the 3 legends. Jia ha 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 ha, welcome, elites from all over the world. Golden Lion crossed his arms and said coldly, the time has come, drink the glass of wine in front of you, and then follow in my footsteps, go to the Sea of Strategy together, and overturn this world. Hearing this, without any hesitation, the 50 captains picked up the wine glasses in front of them and drank them all in one gulp. The Golden Lion pirates are established. Shiki was very satisfied, and grinned. Then, let's go. Oh, East Blue, Log Town. The port remains busy as the East Blue passes through on its way to the Grand Line. The departure of Colonel Smoker, the base chief who used to be here, made the pirates in East Blue feel happy from the bottom of their hearts. Therefore, in today's port, pirates can be found landing every once in a while. The new Marine colonel had to send soldiers to patrol the port every day. However, this day, suddenly, there was a gust of wind and waves on the sea not far from the port. The space seemed to be distorted, and 2 vortex-like passages appeared. The next moment, 2 pirate groups, one large and one small, suddenly appeared. That's the Straw Hat pirate flag. The sailors patrolling the port quickly discovered the situation, and after observing with binoculars, exclamations suddenly sounded. Quick, tell the colonel, it's the Straw Hat pirates. Accompanied by the exclamation, the originally busy port immediately became a riot. The big pirate Straw Hat Luffy, run! It's Straw Hat crew. Men and women screamed one after another. Marine couldn't maintain order at all, and everyone was running away in a hurry. Panic in the port quickly spread to the town. Immediately afterwards, on the originally lively street, every household closed their doors. What's more, the family immediately began to go inland. In East Blue, where the average bounty is 3 million, a big pirate of 3.5 billion ran over, and it was natural to have such a reaction. While the Merry and Sunny are in port, everyone disembarked one after another, and saw an empty and uninhabited scene. Nami couldn't help covering her face. It's really sad to be so afraid of us even though we're going back to our hometown. Luffy. Everyone looked at the captain in unison. Luffy said helplessly, just get used to it, who made us pirates? When one day he kills the world government and ascends to the throne, I will have a great Confucian to argue for me. What about the legendary experience of the Sun King, the first adventure of the liberation warrior Luffy? Why is the sun god a god? Such articles will probably appear in newspapers. Will the Golden Lion come here? Nuoqigao asked with concern. Let's go to town first. Luffy took the lead and walked towards Log Town. Through the arched door, Usopp suddenly let out a scream. Ah 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 ah. What's wrong, Usopp? Sanji followed the prestige. Did you step on shit? No, 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 look, look. The reward order. The reward order posted on the wall. Usopp yelled tremblingly, pointing to a row of reward orders on the wall. No, to be precise, not just one row, but several rows. And the top one is Luffy's 3.5 billion. 100 million. Sanji was taken aback when he saw his profile picture. I'm actually wanted. We're all wanted, all for $1 billion. His eyes swept over quickly, and they were all 100 million. However, Zoro's slightly satisfied voice sounded. 277 million. Not bad. What? Why are you different? Sanji found Zoro's reward order in disbelief. After seeing it, he was shocked. Damn it, you lost. Am I also 100 million? Chopper was so frightened that he fell to the ground limply. This must be a dream. Pet Chopper bounty. 100 million Baileys. It's only 100 million, and it's still acceptable, so why add an extra pet? Nami, Vivi and others also saw their photos successively. Regarding the reward of 100 million yuan, I didn't have a particularly big feeling. Am I only allowed to capture alive? Vivi blinked. Allah. I'm 500 million. Robin smiled sweetly. Really? Why don't you make me look better? Nami complained about his photos. Luffy had a speechless expression on his face. After this group of people had had enough trouble, they spoke slowly. We're not here for a walk. Anyway, let's ask the base chief here about the situation. At the same time, the base chief of Logue Town, the newly appointed colonel of naval headquarters, also learned of the Straw Hat crew's landing immediately. Without hesitation, he decisively passed the information to the headquarters. Crane Vice Admiral who got the report, with a blank expression on his face. What's going on? Didn't grandson Garp go to New World? Why did he show up in East Blue? This is running from one side of the planet to the other. Knowing that Straw Hat Luffy appeared in East Blue, Crane Vice Admiral didn't know what to do, so he had to find Sengoku and report the matter. Today's Luffy, although he has not boarded the Four Emperors, but he is a force that cannot be ignored in the sea, and any movement will attract the attention of the Marine. Run off to East Blue. Sengoku, who heard the news, was also stunned. Half a month ago, they were still on the Fishman Island. Where is our intelligence? Something went wrong. Straw Hat Luffy has the power to fly in the air, he ran to East Blue alone, and he still understands. But even the crew under his command showed up in Logue Town, which is impossible. Do you want to report to the higher-ups? He shook his head and said, the higher-ups have unusual concerns about Straw Hats. It can be seen from the minimum reward of 100 million for all members. Sengoku was silent for a moment, suddenly thinking of Garp. Report, this is my duty. 5 elders soon got the news, and all of them had ugly faces. Bastard. The CP department is a bunch of trash. Straw Hat Luffy went to East Blue. Then the CP5, CP7, and CP8 we dispatched in New World during this time were wasted? Sengoku is also an idiot. Since he knew he was in Logue Town, why didn't he send someone there? Do you still need to ask for instructions? He is really not suitable for the position of marshal. Let Akainu take the position as soon as possible. As for Aokiji, let the two of you make a decision. The 5 discussed for a while, and finally decided to inform the Knights of God about the information. New World, a government warship disguised as a merchant ship. Figalando Gringu put down the phone bug with a look of indifference. In the beginning, he was sitting on the sidelines in the Sabodi archipelago. Suddenly came a piece of information, telling him that Luffy the Straw Hat had gone to the city of the Queen of Spring. He set off immediately. The result was not there yet. Only 2 days later, Straw Hat Luffy appeared in Sabodi archipelago. So, he returned to the Holy Land on the spot, entered New World through Red Harbor, and prepared to do an interception in New World. People didn't wait, but they got contacted by 5 elders, telling him that Straw Hat crew is in East Blue? What should we do? One of the subordinates asked in a deep voice. There are only 3 things. Green Gu took a cup of black tea and took a sip leisurely. East Blue. Logue Town, Marine Base. The base chief's office. The newly appointed Colonel Marine was standing in the center sweating profusely, surrounded by a group of pirates. Luffy sat on his seat and asked casually, is there any information about the Golden Lion? Golden Lion? The colonel shook his head with a smile on his face. The person in front of him was Luffy in a straw hat. He had only seen it in newspapers before, but now facing a living person, he didn't even have the thought of resisting. After all, he doesn't even have to participate in the Summit War, and he doesn't belong to the 100,000 elites. Golden Lion not coming to East Blue yet? Luffy thought for a while before asking, has my grandpa Garp been here? Garp. Mr. Garp's words came to Logue Town 2 days ago. The colonel quickly replied, but yesterday there was a huge disturbance in the Kokia kingdom, and Mr. Garp left. Kingdom of Korkia. Sanji was taken aback. What's wrong? Usopp asked. No. Nothing. Sanji lit a cigarette, lost in memory. He has an impression of this country. That was when he was a child, before he escaped from the kingdom of Germa. The father who wanted to conquer East Blue led the army across the Red Line, the first country he arrived at, and his first goal. Of course, it failed. It was also because of that action that he successfully escaped from the Germa kingdom with the help of his sister Reiju. Thinking of his sister Reiju, Sanji took a breath. I haven't seen him for about 10 years, and he doesn't have any nostalgia for that family, but he still has affection for his sister. What happened to the kingdom of Korkia? Facing Luffy's question, the colonel answered without any concealment. A group of raging beasts appeared there, and after destroying more than a dozen towns, they made it into the newspapers. A raging beast? Luffy raised his eyebrows. Golden Lion's beast army? What beast could destroy a dozen towns? Not the Sea Kings. He immediately thought of Golden Lion's ferocious beast army, which is a kind of wild beast that has been injected with special medicine, and has gained strength and strengthened berserk creatures. Mr. Luffy, do you know what that is? Vivi asked. It's about the Golden Lion, simply explained. After listening, everyone changed slightly. In other words, Golden Lion has many such ferocious creatures under his command. He plans to use these violent animals to destroy East Blue? What about the quantity? Luffy, do you know the exact quantity? Isn't this bad? I'm a little worried that the restaurant will be targeted. The colonel was puzzled. Golden Lion? It seems that when Mr. Garp left, he also reminded him that if the Golden Lion came to Logue Town, he would contact him as soon as possible. I didn't pay attention to it before, but now there is a thud, and I feel suffocated. That Lord Luffy, the legendary great pirate, the Golden Lion is resurrected? Luffy ignored him, frowning slightly. In the perception of knowledge, something fell from the sky. Not only him, Zoro, Vivi, Nami, Uta, they have also noticed it successively. Uta looks up at the ceiling. Luffy, there's a strong voice coming down. Marine, you lead people to disperse the people. This place will soon become a battlefield. Luffy gave an order, got up and took everyone out. The colonel was stunned, but he did as soon as possible. Everyone came outside the base and looked up at the sky. What is that? A ship? An island? Bartolomeo looked dull. The thing that fell from the sky was neither a ship nor an island. To be precise, it was an island ship. The bottom part of the ship is like a small island, with the superstructure of a general ship on it, such as masts, sails, and ship towers. It's the Golden Lion's ship. Luffy saw the flag on the ship. I have to sigh with emotion. Charlie's prophecy is too accurate. Said it was half a month, it was half a month, there was almost no difference. Fall. Usopp exclaimed, and immediately took out the slingshot. Let me do it. Zoro took a step forward with a calm expression, drew 3 knives, and put one in his mouth. The moment he put on a posture, chi wrapped around his body. Boom. Everyone was stunned, as if seeing Zoro turned into superhuman. Ghost Aura 9 Blades Ashura. Moonwalk. Zoro jumped up, swung the blade and made a powerful slash like spinning. Magic 9 Flashes. The blade flashed. In an instant, the island ship that descended from the sky stagnated for a moment in the air, and then disintegrated suddenly. It's cut off. Colonel Marine, who came out afterward, was full of horror. The island ship was chopped into an unknown number of pieces, and the wreckage continued to fall towards Logue Town. You're causing trouble, Chlorella. Sanji flicked his fingers and flicked the cigarette between his fingers into the sky. Immediately, he turned 3,600 degrees on the spot, and a hot magma-like flame suddenly appeared on his right foot. Moonwalk. Flying up towards the sky, kicking back, brought out a fiery tail flame in the air. Devil's Foot cooked grilled shot. Boom. The flames kicked a piece of wreckage that fell on the heads of everyone into pieces. See? Miss Robin, my heroic figure. After landing, Sanji coolly caught the unfinished cigarette. Robin ignored it, hands over his chest. Soft spider web. Countless arms are like flowers blooming, spreading a big net over the city. Sister Robin, it's still me. Bartolomeo grinned. This is my hometown. How can it be destroyed casually? Barrier. A transparent wall unfolded above everyone's heads, forming an indestructible shield. The wreckage of the island ship smashed on the shield one after another, only sporadic debris fell towards the town. Even so, it still pierced through many houses. Ah, I'm sorry, Lord Luffy, my barrier's opening area is limited. Bartolomeo laughed dryly. Luffy shook his head and jumped onto the barrier. Among the wreckage all over the ground, many pirates were groaning. There are also several ferocious animals roaring. Shut up. Luffy's eyes were fixed, and in an instant, these ferocious animals calmed down, lying on the ground trembling. The stimulation of drugs cannot erase the fear of biological instinct. A pirate pushed away the mast on his body and stood up with his head covered in blood. You straw hat Luffy, he blurted out in shock. Where is the golden lion? Standing in front of this person, Luffy asked in a calm tone. It can't be that there are only a few, there should be many such animals on his island. Why are straw hats here? The pirate captain swallowed. Lord Luffy, leave it to me to play, and I will let him speak. The professional mafia boy, Bartolomeo, also stepped up to follow. Then, everyone saw him beating the pirate captain violently, screaming continuously. It's already been asked. Bartolomeo told everyone the information he had received. This person is one of the captains of the Golden Lion Pirates, the vanguard of the destruction of East Blue. There are 50 vanguard troops like this, each leading pirates and a large number of violent beasts. This action is just an announcement. Golden Lion wants to destroy several countries, let the East Blue incident hit the news, and announce his return. Bartolomeo said angrily. Logue Town is just one of the goals. Hearing this, Nami bit her lower lip and said, Is Kokoja village also a target? Sister Nami, I don't know about this. Bartolomeo shook his head. Luffy pondered for a moment, then said immediately, Go if you are worried about your hometown, I will guard Logue Town myself. Anyway, the Golden Lion would come here sooner or later, so he simply waited on the sidelines. I'll go back to the restaurant on the sea. Sanji immediately said, Bharati is very famous in East Blue, and there is a high probability that he will be targeted. Then I'll go to Xiluobu village. Usopp said with a serious face, a brave warrior at sea, if he can't even protect his hometown, what kind of warrior is he? Nuoqigao, let's go to Kokoja village, Nami said to her sister. Johnny and Joseph also have their own home they want to protect. Soon, everyone confirmed their goals. The melee was driven away by Sanji and others, and Nami and the others returned to their hometown on the Sanji. Colonel Marine led the soldiers to evacuate the people. In the evening, Logue Town is almost empty city. A cafe on the street. The boss was taken away by Marine for refuge, so Luffy and others naturally broke in unceremoniously, and had the right to collect protection money. Uda brought the coffee he brewed by himself to Luffy. Thanks. Luffy picked up the coffee and took a sip, his eyes lit up. The taste is surprisingly good. Humph, isn't it delicious? When I was in Elegia, I made coffee for many years. Uda smiled proudly. Gordon doesn't like coffee, you are the second one to drink it. Oh, that's awesome. Luffy, are we just waiting for the enemy to come? Golden Lion can fly. Do you want to search the sky of East Blue? Don't worry, he will come sooner or later. With that said, open the adventure store and start today's customization refresh. The target is still the hockey fruit. After 6 times, I was lucky and bought a gift box and got 10 hockey fruits in total. Eat it on the spot. Now that the crew has a bit of hockey at their disposal, he has to take his hockey to a higher level as soon as possible. Observation hockey. LV5. IV6 like conquerors, reaching level 6 also awakens new skills. Mind reading. Strongly perceive the breath of the target, and even understand the inner thoughts of others at the moment. Luffy looked up at Uta who was sitting opposite. The girl clasped her hands, resting her chin on the back of her hands, and looked at herself with a smile. A white light flashed in the pupil. He read Uta's mind at the moment. Luffy. Dot has become so handsome, she was just a kid who followed me when I was young. Might as well not read it. The color of knowledge spread to the outside world. Luffy found Robin's breath, and when he tried to read Robin, he failed unexpectedly. This ability cannot be activated from a distance, it must be done in person. And it will fail in the face of knowledge killing. No, even knowledge killing is not needed. As long as the opponent has hockey of similar strength, it will be very difficult to read. Mind reading. There are fruits in this world that can directly read other people's memories. In comparison, mind reading is nothing. Thinking of this, Luffy paid attention to the girl in front of him again. Oh, Luffy has been staring at me, she really likes me, I can't help it. Huh? Why did the expression become strange? Is there something on my face? Laughing. You look so pretty when you smile, but what are you laughing at, Luffy? Stop laughing. Uta's face gradually turned red, he blinked his eyes, turned his head to the side, and looked at Bai Jaw for losing. Luffy couldn't help smiling. There is no need for mind reading at all, her emotions are so easy to understand. Suddenly, his gaze froze. Luffy picked up the coffee, got up and walked outside. In the sunset, Ichigo's larger island ship was heading towards this side. Behind the island ship, there are more than a dozen islands suspended in the sky. Jihahahaha. Bosrod hasn't reported it all this time, thinking that something happened. Isn't this the big pirate Straw Hat Luffy? The figure descending from the sky has long golden hair like a lion's mane. A ship's rudder was inserted above the head, and both legs were cut off to escape from prison, and replaced by two famous knives. The golden lion is suspended in the sky, staring coldly at the outside of the coffee shop, holding a straw hat with coffee. I've been waiting for you for a long time, Zoo. Luffy drank the coffee and spoke calmly. Wait for me? Golden Lion raised his eyebrows, raised the corners of his mouth, and laughed wildly. Really? I understand. You want to cooperate with me? Recently, the news is full of straw hats, Luffy, straw hats. You guys. I am tired of seeing it, but the world government attaches great importance to you. After a pause, his tone was low. How? Do you want to come with me and give 5 elders some color? Suddenly, a silver-white figure was born. Luffy handed the coffee cup to Uta, and with a movement of his body, like a silver light, it instantly came to the top of the Golden Lion. So fast. Knowledge kills. Golden Lion's complexion changed. You are the legend? Luffy landed a punch. Golden Lion could only raise his hand to resist, but the force transmitted from the opponent's fist was so incredible that his arm seemed to be broken. With a bang, he was directly knocked down into the sky and embedded into the street. This time, it's Luffy standing in the air, looking down at each other. It is said that 2 of them have already died, and it is about time for you to end the curtain, and let me do it myself. Pain stimulates the brain. The Golden Lion's body is embedded in the street, forming a large font. It hurts, damn brat. Grinning his teeth and cursing inwardly, the ground around Golden Lion suddenly came alive. The streets of Logtown were like a mother's gentle palm, stroking his back and helping him up. Golden Lion first stared at Luffy in the sky, and then lowered his eyes to his right arm. There was a weird crease on the right arm. Click. Enduring the pain by force, he straightened his arm. What do you mean? His face was gloomy, and his body slowly floated up. Meaning. As soon as the words fell, Luffy bent his knees, and the white flame cloud born under his feet exploded several times. The next moment, the whole person swooped down towards the Golden Lion like a beam of white light. Sure enough, it's killing by knowledge. This time he was mentally prepared, and Golden Lion immediately understood. He stretched out his right palm and swung it up in the air. With his movements, the ground of Logtown suddenly raised, and the huge lion head opened its bloody mouth. Afterwards, the 5 fingers grasped the void, and the Earth Lion bit Luffy in one bite. Boom. Without being able to trap Luffy for a second, Lionhead collapsed instantly. Golden Lion's complexion changed drastically. Only Haki's impact breaks through my moves? The other party moved too fast. Air combat was originally his advantage, but he never expected that Luffy's speed in the air was much faster than that of a man who could fly. The silver-white figure quickly approached. An open hand was seen in the field of vision. Golden Lion's words were interrupted, and his face was grasped in the palm of his hand. Change the place. Luffy pinched the face of the Golden Lion, changed direction in a blink of an eye, and went straight to the floating sky island above his head. The floating sky island in the sunset has a beautiful scenery, which is more beautiful than Sky Island. There is still seawater on the edge, wrapping the entire island like jelly. Flying to the top of the floating sky island in a blink of an eye, Luffy threw the Golden Lion out forcefully. It's like throwing a sandbag and breaking the sound barrier in an instant. But only the moment of the shot. The power after that falls rapidly under the air resistance. But even so, Golden Lion couldn't believe it. What kind of wrist strength is this? Damn, what a strong wind pressure. Bang. The Golden Lion was smashed on the beautiful island and landed on Rishueidichin. The blown snowflakes filled the air for hundreds of meters. That's it? Could it be that you are too old to stand up? Luffy stood in the sky, looking down at the snow with a calm expression. Slash wave. Suddenly, the snowflakes that covered the sky were divided by a sword energy. The Golden Lion kicked out a flying slash like a kick. Just bigger and faster than the Tempest kick. Similar to Hawkeye's random strike, it is a slash capable of tearing apart the ocean. Predict future. Luffy maintained his knowledgeable attitude and pre-read the opponent's moves. Faced with such a slash, he just stretched out his right hand and pinched it. Armor color hardened. Golden Lion's pupils dilated, and his expression froze for a moment. Impossible. Block my slash with bare hands? He was so shocked that he couldn't accept it. From the visual point of view, it was picked up with bare hands using armed colors. Boom. Suddenly, Luffy squeezed hard, and the slash shattered in an instant. The broken slash flew past Luffy's sides and disappeared into the sky. Can you do it? Luffy had enough time to rest, and he still had time to sneer. Golden Lion can only fly, and if he doesn't want to be caught, it will be as difficult as heaven to find this person. But as long as he appeared in front of him, everything would be different. During Summit War, a Kainu could beat old Whitebeard hard. He's beating up old Golden Lion now, too. This is not a fantasy world. The old immortals live for hundreds of thousands of years at every turn, and the older they are, the stronger they are. In this world, the peak will be in the 40s and 50s, and at the age of 70, if he can reach half the level of the peak period, he is well maintained. I don't understand. Golden Lion had an ugly expression, staring at the figure in the sky. I don't have any enmity with you. Why should we fight? Do you need a reason to fight among pirates? Senseless nonsense. Golden Lion snorted coldly and floated up from the snow. Did you change the battlefield here on purpose to protect the town below? It makes people laugh. Pirates don't want to protect ordinary people? In this regard, Luffy neither denies nor admits it. Just a faint smile. Senseless killing is itself meaningless. What's the meaning? Golden Lion still didn't understand. The environment is different, the level of education received is different, the world outlook and outlook on life are also very different. Luffy is not interested in talking nonsense with the other party. I thought you had something to say. If the last words are just like this, then it's over. Why? As soon as the words fell, Conqueror's Haki overwhelmingly moved towards the Golden Lion below. The black and red lightning is like a devil's tentacles, locking on to the enemy target. Same conquerors, erupting from Golden Lion. The territory of the two overlords collided in the space. The conquerors in the sky are white, and the conquerors below are gold. After several seconds of stalemate, Golden Lion's conquerors was defeated with a bang. What Haki? Golden Lion couldn't believe it. You must know that conquerors cannot be cultivated and improved, it will only increase with the user's own courage. What kind of corpses and seas of blood did the man in the straw hat in front of him go through to raise conquerors to this level? It is comparable to the young Roger, same straw hat, same top-notch conquerors. Really? I see. You are also from East Blue. At this moment, Golden Lion suddenly understood. However, what greeted him was a huge fist that fell from the sky. White giant pistol. Huge fist, entangled with Conqueror's Haki, like a blow from a giant, thus falling from the sky. Lion. Thousand Slice Valley. Countless golden slashes slashed towards the sky, each slashing around the conquerors. However, under this punch, everything shattered, making it difficult to stop. Boom. The fist landed on Golden Lion's body, driving him into the ground in an instant. The snow-capped mountains collapsed, the ground shattered, and the snow that rose within a few thousand meters turned the whole world into a vast expanse of whiteness. Boom. The loud noise resounded through the sky of Logtown, and UTA and others who were still in the town looked up at the sky. I saw cracks spreading on the largest one floating on Sky Island. A huge island was shattered by a punch and torn into two pieces. The Golden Lion runs through the island. Luffy, Uta immediately released his sense of knowledge, always paying attention to the situation. Luffy. Robin put down the book in his hand, and also stared at the sky. Zoro was sitting on the roof, holding a flagon and watching the scene of the battle, couldn't help grinning. Puff. In the sunset, the Golden Lion spilled blood on the sky. He plummeted toward Logtown. He was knocked down from the floating Sky Island by a punch, passed through the island, passed through the seawater surrounding the island, and finally fell to the town below. Consciousness was shattered the moment it was hit. The opponent's conquerors is far superior to him. If he was young, he could still fight against him, but now he is no longer as brave as he used to be, and he can't even withstand a frontal punch. Seeing that he was about to fall to the ground, Golden Lion suddenly opened his eyes wide, bloodshot eyeballs. Stop for me. Lion Fruit's power was fully activated, and his body finally stopped 10 meters above Logtown. Ha ha, panting with blood on his head, when he looked up, he saw that Luffy in the straw hat had already chased him. Gia ha ha ha. Really scary, young power. Golden Lion grinned, revealing blood-stained teeth, and the smell of blood filled his mouth. Stretch out your hands to the sky suddenly, fingers into claws. Lion Majesty Seaspoon. Boom. Under the control of Lion Fruit's power, the ocean floating on Sky Island suddenly transformed into 9 giant sea dragons, locking Luffy from all directions. 9 sea dragons formed a prison and killing formation, blocking all directions of Luffy. They are like a huge hollow water polo, constantly shrinking while cruising. Luffy raised an eyebrow. Gee ha ha ha. Didn't expect that. My lion fruit can even control the sea. Golden Lion grinned wildly, and the murderous intent burst out in his eyes. Straw Hat Boy, you are very strong. It's almost like the young Roger, who is against you head-on, to be honest. Now I am no match at all. There is no self-deprecation, nor is it flattering the enemy, just a little emotion at the moment. His tone was cold. But, unlike Roger, you are a person with abilities. As soon as the words fell, he clenched his hands with dry fingers. Drown in the ocean. The water ball formed by the 9 sea dragons shrunk by tens or hundreds of times in the blink of an eye, completely trapping Luffy in the seawater. And it is not the same as ordinary seawater. This is the seawater dominated by the Golden Lion, compressed to the limit by the power of the lion fruit, and the water ball formed by it has a pressure comparable to that of the 10,000-meter deep sea. That may not be intuitive to say, but its pressure is equivalent to 1,000 atmospheres. More intuitively, a tank under such pressure would be crushed into a pile of scrap metal. Gia ha 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 ha, it seems that the final winner is me. Golden Lion heaved a sigh of relief, and taunted. Let me teach you a lesson, young brat. Don't be too confident in your own strength. If I can strike with all my strength at the beginning, I won't have the chance to perform such a move. Hearing this, Zoro on the roof stood up silently, holding the handle of the knife with his right hand. No need. Uda stopped the opponent softly. Luffy won't lose. As if confirming her words, next moment, the water polo in the sky froze for an instant, and then, boom. The exploding water polo made the sky rain. What? Golden Lion's eyes widened in disbelief, his expression dull. That's it? Gone? Luffy stroked his wet hair, and looked down at the other party with a blank expression. You can control things like seawater, but you don't know? If you can't control the seawater, how can you wrap an ocean around the floating Sky Island? Impossible. Why? Golden Lion muttered in a daze, completely unable to understand. No matter how powerful the ability user is, they will feel powerless and unable to move when they are surrounded by seawater. The scene before him overturned his cognition. Roger, Whitebeard, Golden Lion. White steam appeared all over Luffy, overflowing frantically. Roger became. After the death of One Piece, after Roger's death, Whitebeard dominated the vast sea area of New World, but you. After escaping from prison, you hid for 20 years. You wanted revenge and didn't go to the world government. Instead, you came to East Blue Yao. Wu Yongwei? While speaking, he stepped in the air, as if walking down the ladder of God, approaching the Golden Lion step by step. The old era has come to an end, and you, the legend, should also retire. There is no place for you in the new era. As soon as the voice fell, the king suddenly disappeared from sight. Golden Lion's complexion changed drastically. Here we go again. Kill by knowledge. He once again lost the opponent's track of action. Suddenly, the back of his head was grabbed by a palm, and his whole body was driven to fly towards the sky. Farewell, Lion. Coming to the floating Sky Island, Luffy threw the Golden Lion to the island again. At the same time, the right arm clenched into a fist and expanded rapidly. Conqueror's Twine. Armed color winding. The power of vibration. White 6 King Gun. A huge punch landed on Golden Lion, knocking him down on the floating Sky Island. Boom. With a loud bang, the island of Vermejo, which had already been torn in half, was completely shattered into countless pieces under this punch. Golden Lion, who suffered a fatal blow, lost his consciousness again and fell into darkness. I've said this many times, Roger. Although we had a lot of grievances when we were young, let us forget it. As long as you have the weapons you know that can destroy the world and my strength, plus the perfect plan that I have spent many years building, I can rule the world immediately. Be my right arm, Roger. What about the sea without Roger? The walls that hold us back are gone, and now seems to be your time, Whitebeard. I am going to disappear for a while, and then let this warm era see the horror of real pirates. Lost again. Lost to Roger, lost to Whitebeard, lost to the Straw Hats. The old era has come to an end, and the new era has no place for you. At the last second when his consciousness fell into chaos, the last voice echoed in Golden Lion's mind. Boom. His body fell heavily on the execution square in Logue Town. And with his death, Sky Island was also shaking, falling toward Logue Town. Trouble. Zoro's face darkened. Heaven. Luffy took out the blank fruit, which was undergoing a mutation at the moment, and a spiral pattern was born on the surface. Lion fruit, reborn. Your era is over long ago, and your fruit is gone. Luffy opened his mouth and bit down. The next moment, he got the power of the third devil fruit. The Golden Lion is dead, but the problems with the Golden Lion haven't gone away. The many islands that were originally floating in the sky immediately fell towards Logue Town. The main island was shattered by Luffy's punch, and the wreckage of Vermeil looked like meteors. The scene is very spectacular, a rare and superb view. It's just this moment that no one wants to appreciate. Luffy, Zoro roared, wanting to draw his sword immediately. Cut the island? With his current swordsmanship, can he cut it open? Cutting it off doesn't seem to make sense. Unless the dozen or so islands in the sky are cut into pieces, only in this way can the damage be minimized. While he hesitated, Luffy ate the lion fruit. Paramecia lion fruit. Capable users can fly in the air without gravity, but can manipulate inanimate objects they touch and use their abilities to make objects levitate. Without any hesitation, Luffy immediately launched into action. I saw above the sky a beam of silver light flying among more than a dozen islands. Wherever he goes, he stays for a short while. Seeing that all the islands were about to fall to the ground, their falling posture finally stopped. The archipelago is floating again. Including the miraculous island of Vermejo, which was shattered by his punch, the island was smashed into dozens of pieces, floating tens of meters above Logue Town in the form of wreckage. It's floating. Zoro was startled, and looked up at the sky. This time, Luffy does not need to use the power of Nika fruit, and does not need to step on white flames, and can stand in the sky only with the lion fruit. He was slightly relieved. If these islands are allowed to fall, Logue Town will definitely be finished. It's a bit strenuous, just after eating lion fruit, I have to come out like this. Sweat stains appeared on Luffy's forehead. Golden Lion has acquired lion fruit for decades, and has already developed its fruit strength to the limit, and of course it has awakened. That's why he could easily control more than a dozen islands floating in the air, and even had the energy to fight him to death. He has just eaten, and he is not yet familiar with the manipulation of power. Luffy even doubted that with twice the amount, Golden Lion could also control it. Thinking of this, he took OU awakening fruits from the adventure warehouse and ate them on the spot. The next moment, the fruit awakens. It seems that after mastering the lion fruit for a long time, Luffy suddenly became very comfortable with the use of this fruit. All of a sudden it became easier. Luffy turned his gaze, looked in the direction of the execution square, and flew over immediately. This is where the One Piece Roger was executed. The last time he was here, he had a fight with Garp and destroyed the scaffold. Today, this execution platform, which symbolizes the majesty and achievements of the world government, has been rebuilt again. At this time, Golden Lion's body was lying in front of the execution platform. A place that witnessed the death of two legends. Luffy. Behind him, Zoro jumped off the roof. You got the power of the Golden Lion? Last time too, after the Summit War, you got the power of Whitebeard, he asked curiously. Yeah, let me show you something fun. Luffy grinned, squatted down slowly, and touched the ground with his right hand. Planetary devastation. Boom boom boom. The earth trembled. The next moment, a piece of the ground was torn apart, and holding the body of the Golden Lion, it slowly moved towards the sky. At the same time, the islands that were originally floating in the sky also exploded simultaneously. They were torn apart by the lion fruit's power and gathered towards the Golden Lion's corpse. Just like the previous Golden Lion move, 9 sea dragons trapped Luffy, forming a very dense waterball. At this moment, the many shattered islands also wrapped the Golden Lion's body, forming a huge sphere with a diameter of more than 1,000 meters in the sky. Incomparably mellow, it was like a moon. Zoro stared at the scene dumbfounded. Fun? Luffy said with a smile. Golden Lion knows shit lion fruit. I'm a little tired, let's go clean up the battlefield. Luffy patted Zoro on the shoulder, turned and left. As for the star above the square, just let it float like this, and there will be other uses in the future. The other side. In front of the cafe, Uta stared blankly at the artificial moon made by Luffy. New era. Suddenly, her eyes lit up, and she had enough inspiration for the new song. Luffy, you really are my lucky star. She hurried back to the coffee shop, took out the paper and pen she carried with her from her pocket, and started writing quickly. See Restaurant Barati, Brisket Shoot. Sanji breathed a sigh of relief after kicking a raging chimpanzee into the sea. Everyone in Belati also fought hard. The boss, Jeppu, took action himself. Yo ho 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 ho. Is this your hometown? It's really interesting to open a restaurant on the sea. On the deck of the Mary, Brook watched the play leisurely for half a day with a cup of cold coffee. You are here to help. What are you doing here? Sanji turned into a shark's mouth. Sanji, is this your companion? The boss, Jeppu, smiled slightly, and said, skeletons that can move and talk, are you capable? I'm a resurrected person who ate the fruit of the underworld. Straw Hat Crew's musician, Brook, met for the first time. Brook spoke gracefully. Ha ha ha, resurrected man. Since he is Sanji's companion, it would be rude not to treat him well. The chefs shouted enthusiastically. Paddy had a displeased expression on his face, holding a bazooka in his hand, curled his lips and said, how should I put it, anyway, welcome back, Sanji. West Rob Village. The coast. Chopper held a branch as a weapon, staring blankly at the sea. Usopp, will the enemy come? Will come? This is the hometown of the brave sea warrior, Captain Usopp. If the Golden Lion wants to destroy East Blue, they will definitely send people to attack here. Usopp answered unsurely. The two waited from evening until the moon rose, but they did not see any enemy ships. Suddenly, Usopp punched his palm, and suddenly said, yes, I understand, Chopper. The subordinates of Golden Lion must be afraid of my reputation and dare not come. After all, they only have 50 pirates, and I have 80 million subordinates here. Huh? 80 million? Ha ha ha. Anyway, let me take you to the village first, everyone will welcome me. Kokoja Village. There are also no enemies coming. At this time, a banquet was set up in the village. The villagers warmly entertained the two sisters who returned home. Nami. Why isn't your stomach moving? Isn't the baby born yet? The aunt of 8 trigrams asked loudly. Nami was embarrassed for a moment. Nuoqigao laughed loudly. I have to ask Luffy about this. Nuoqigao. Nami was annoyed. Everyone asked again. Why didn't Luffy come? Why didn't you come back and bring the man back together? Did you break up? Nami couldn't help but roll a blank look. At this time, the village policeman Jhin ran over and shouted loudly. What's the matter with throwing a banquet in the village and entertaining pirates? Nami, Nuoqigao, you two crazy girls, you have come back. Hey, Jhin. Nuoqigao greeted. Jhin's eyes searched the crowd for a moment, but he couldn't see anyone, and he couldn't help being disappointed. Isn't Straw Hat Luffy here? Why? Nami's fist hardened, and he couldn't help complaining. Why do you want to see Luffy more than me in Nuoqi? I'm from the village. What nonsense are you talking about? Luffy is our great benefactor of Kokoja Village, Nami. Remember to bring Luffy back with you next time you come back. Really, if you come back alone, the wine won't taste good. Nami was speechless. The 50 pirate groups under the command of Golden Lion each led many ferocious creatures to various places to wreak havoc. The targets that will be selected are all famous places in East Blue. Small villages like Kokocha Village and Zailuobu Village are naturally not included in the target list. Night, Logtown. Somewhere hotel. Luffy took a shower and returned to the house refreshed. The Golden Lion has been killed by him, the lion fruit has also been obtained, and the purpose of coming to East Blue has been completed for a day and a half. As for the pirates and ferocious beasts under its command, they should be handed over to Garp and Zephyr's new marine. However, once the boss, Golden Lion, died, those younger brothers might run away halfway. Forget it. Let's talk about it tomorrow. Thinking so, Luffy pushed open his door and walked in. He took off his clothes and went to bed neatly. I don't know how long it took, but suddenly, he opened his eyes. His sense of knowledge has been able to maintain 24 hours a day. Even if it is a disturbance in a deep sleep, he can react immediately. At this time, the door was pushed open, and Uta ran in excitedly. Luffy, I've written a new song. Come in the middle of the night, new song? If you stay up so late, be careful not to grow up, he said helplessly. I'm 2 years older than you, are you stupid? Uta rolled his eyes at him, then handed Luffy the sheet music with the new song written in his hand, and said excitedly, How? You inspired me, and the name of the song is New Era. I'm not talking about age. With the moonlight outside the window, Luffy subconsciously glanced at Uta's chest. Big enough, New Era. He took the music score from the other party's hand and looked at it carefully for a moment. Isn't that the song? He also hums a few words. Seeing that he didn't speak for a while, Uta got a little nervous. Is the lyrics bad? Luffy sat up straight, patted the side of the bed, and said, You come up first, I must teach you well. Oh. Uta is like an ignorant little white rabbit who foolishly sent himself into the mouth of the big bad wolf. She had just climbed onto the bed and was knocked to the ground by the big bad wolf before she could sit still. Ah? Uta let out a low cry, and suddenly came to his senses. Her face flushed, she looked at the face of the man who was close at hand, and whispered. What do you want? Girls should go to bed early, we will talk about the song tomorrow. Luffy chuckled, pulled up the quilt and surrounded the two of them. Then there was a commotion, and the resistance quickly became weak. The room next door. Robin, who was sleeping, suddenly opened his eyes. He covered his ears helplessly. She is no stranger to such a wonderful voice, nor is it the first time she has heard it. While sailing on the Sunny, it would occasionally sound in the middle of the night. It's just a different music tonight chapter. The next day, Robin woke up early. I didn't sleep well last night. I should have never stayed in the same hotel with Luffy. When they passed by Luffy's room, the two of them were still sleeping soundly. Shall I prepare breakfast for them? After thinking for a while, Robin gave up. Maybe they won't wake up until noon. Leaving the hotel, Robin is going to visit the library in Logue Town. She likes to read, and goes to the local library wherever she goes, and this place is no exception. Yesterday was dealing with the Golden Lion, and now that the Golden Lion is resolved, she finally has time to do what she loves. When passing by the execution square, Robin found that the citizens who escaped yesterday had returned to the town, and they were still gathered in the square, looking up at the artificial moon in the sky. You are the leader of the Straw Hat Pirates. Suddenly, someone recognized Robin and exclaimed, The big pirate with a reward of 500 million, son of the devil, Nico Robin. Hearing this, Robin frowned slightly, scaring others before he even opened his mouth. Yes, I'm sorry. The man immediately apologized. We've already heard about the situation from Colonel Bellora. Did you come back to East Blue to stop the Golden Lion? I'm so sorry, I thought you were here to loot this town. How about the Golden Lion? What's that thing on the head? The townspeople were not as scared as they were yesterday. They surrounded Robin and started asking questions. Robin looked at the artificial moon in the sky, not interested in explaining. Where is the library? Go straight from here, pass through the execution square and then another 800 meters, next to the church, the largest house is, someone replied. Thank you. Robin thanked him with a smile and left immediately. After walking a few steps, he turned back and said, Golden Lion has been dealt with by our captain, and Logue Town is safe. It's in the moon, above your heads. When the people disappeared into the square, many citizens couldn't help but looked at each other in blank dismay. No, it won't fall, will it? Noon. Luffy woke up leisurely. Uta didn't know where to go. Letting go of his knowledge, he found the breath of Uta in the execution square. This little white rabbit is singing on the execution platform, and it is still singing, New Era, written last night. A large number of citizens gathered in the square. It's so spiritual. Luffy had a speechless expression on his face. Are you going to turn the citizens of Logue Town into your fans? Leave her alone for now. Luffy gets up and washes up, ready to find a restaurant for dinner. As soon as I went to the street, I saw Garp, Fa and others walking towards me. Luffy. Garp laughed, and said, I received a message yesterday that you came to Logue Town, so I came over right away, Grandpa. Come here and ask for money, shall we? Luffy slandered from the bottom of her heart, beating a group of people. Among the dozens of sailors following Garp and Zephyr, there were a few familiar faces. Glass Girl, we meet again. Greeted to Shigi, Luffy Wen looked at the other two. Ai Yin, a girl with long and smooth sea blue wavy hair, was wearing a purple vest, black shorts, and a black coat over her shoulders. Bins, a man dressed as a ninja, has a long knife on his back. Both are Zephyr's right-hand men.